All right, week one is coming to an end. The Detroit Lions free agency has been on a slow crawl all week. Lions fans are pissed. I'm not. I think we're doing just fine. We are good.
Yeah, 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Against all odds. 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 Against all odds.
The podcast.
Shout out to Rockhound Detroit Lions, man. My pride.
All right. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. Please be safe out there. A lot of weather today. Big wind advisories, maybe some snow. Oh, wait, this isn't a weather channel. Welcome into Rockhound Detroit Lions, Rise and Grind Morning Show. Hope you guys are doing great today. We're going to wrap up day 5. Well, day 5 is just getting kicked off this morning. Haven't seen anything hit the wire yet, but your Detroit Lions have been on a slow crawl all week with their free agency. And there's a reason for it. We've talked about it quite a bit, extensively, all week long, over, 40 hours of live streams it seems like I've done this week. But we've talked about all of it, all the players and what's happening next. Well, we're going to find out. So let's get rolling. Let's get Eric in and let's start talking about what's happening with the Detroit Lions. Good morning, man. How are you?
Morning. Good morning. Doing pretty good, other than Snowocalypse is coming.
Snowocalypse.
Yeah, from your UP weatherman here.
Yeah, you guys are you're under it, huh? We've had nothing but crazy wind for several hours. It woke me up at like 3:00. Something broke outside, man. It was just banging on the house. I still don't know what it is. It was probably one of our chimes or something. I don't know. But is what it is, man. What's going to happen with the Lions today? Are they going to break through the ice? Are they finally going to go out and get somebody? I don't know.
Listen, I've been looking at social media the last 24 hours, and I got a couple of things to read for you this morning. This is all just Lions fans letting it out, on Facebook and Instagram and X. They are allowed to say whatever they want about our Detroit Lions, Brad Holmes, MCDC. So they're allowed to air their dirty laundry and say what they think about this offseason with the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a couple of them to read for you, and I want to get your opinion on these.
Uh-oh.
So the first one is, if Brad Holmes lets Muhammad walk for a 1-year, $6 million deal to the Bucks, it's time to let Brad go.
What?
All right.
Well, hold on. Let me respond to that one.
Yeah.
What? So I guess I just don't understand. I guess I really don't understand who we are. Maybe it's just we see a lot of hatred towards Brad, in our own chat, and it's not the, forgive me for saying this, the normal people that are usually in the chat. We've got a lot of new members and a lot of new subscribers and a lot of new people visiting the channel every day. Thank you, by the way. Really appreciate you guys. And so you get a different flavor, right? It's no longer just chocolate and vanilla. You're getting some Scooperman in there a little bit. And so everyone has a different flavor of what they believe Brad Holmes is doing or not doing right. But I'll say this, the voice of the fans last season was saying AQM was trash and AQM is no good and the Lions need to go out and get somebody other than AQM, and I hope AQM isn't coming back. Well, maybe maybe now that tune is starting to change a little bit, and maybe the haters are starting to get drowned out by, some quality fans. It's probably another terrible adjective, but maybe the louder fans that are finally recognizing, one, how difficult it is to have 10 sacks in a season or more, and two, how difficult it is just to get a sack, period, and play to a high level. His efficiency numbers were off the chains. He was twice as efficient as Aiden Hutchinson, and he primarily played on third downs. I mean, he came in on other downs too, but he primarily played on third downs, pass rushing downs, and he did a hell of a job. But yeah, $6 million. I'll say this: I'm surprised that we let him go for $6 million. I think that was a very affordable contract. I'd have to go back a couple of days of notes and see, what it is that I projected that he was going to get, and I'd say I'm probably pretty close. I probably either said 6 or 8. But yeah, for him to go to the Bucks for $8 million or for $6 million,
6, yeah.
I mean, that's a really good deal for a guy that had really good production. However, it was 1 year. It was one season, and even though I wanted him to come back because it keeps continuity alive, I think that it's also doing something else that we expected, and that's that the Lions, per Dan Campbell, wanted to go back to 2022 and 2023, which was bringing in competition and keeping the team as young as possible, and that's what they're doing. So they did not want to sink, heavy investment, and $6 million is a lot of money. $3-4 million is a lot of money in the NFL. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm going to tell you there's probably more than 50% of NFL players that are making less than $1.5 million. Just a guess, but I'm sure it's pretty damn close. And to make anywhere between $3 to $6 million, maybe it's 10-15% of players. Maybe. I'll look up the stats another day, but I'm pretty close. So a significant amount of resources that you're investing into a 30-plus-year-old, and he's only had one season of production. So for that reason, I agree with Brad. I think it was the right move. There's still other players out there. I mean, AJ Epinesa still hasn't been scooped up, but there's still other players out there, and this draft is loaded. I did a mock draft last night, and my God, if the Lions can pull off what I did, I feel that would be the best draft possible. But I'm thinking
I tuned in for a little bit and I saw you were coming around on Bud Clark.
Well, it's just where you can get him. See, Bud is slipped. He was a top 90 and he's now like a 130. So if you can't get AJ Halsey, if you can't take Emmanuel McNeil, with your first pick in the first round, if you can't trade back and add another first round pick or very early second round pick to get AJ Halsey, then Zakia Wheatley is my guy. I like Zakia Wheatley over Bud Clark. I said that during the combine, and Bud Clark and Zakia Wheatley flipped. Zakia Wheatley was like in the 130s. Now he's up in the 90s, and Bud Clark is dropped. So our evaluation during the combine was spot on, that Zakia Wheatley is a better football player than Bud Clark. So it's just wherever you can get them. And, at later rounds like that, I'm just trying to fill some holes, not so much BPA, but trying to fill some holes and get some BPA out of it. But now I'm going to rant, so let's tie it back in. AQM is gone. Yep. So what? Great move. Lions are staying young.
All right. Now we're going to transition to a message I woke up to this morning from one of our members. Okay. And he said, "This interested me. Brad has never spent in free agency besides the Carlton Davis and Zadarius Smith, who he acquired in a trade."
And DJ Reader.
So this one, he sent me a link to a picture, a meme from Al Karsten. And these are the highest AAV that Brad has signed in free agency. Number 1, you have DJ Reed at $16 million. That's the most Brad has spent on any free agent per year on their salary AAV. So you have DJ Reed at 16. You had DJ Reader at 11. Cameron Sutton at 11. Let's see. DJ Chark at 10. Cade Mays at 8.3. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at 6.5. Marcus Davenport at 6.5. Kevin Zeitler at 6. Wow, what a steal that was. David Montgomery at 6. Emmanuel Mosley at 6. Amik Robertson at 4.6. Tyrell Williams at 4. Roy Lopez at 3.5, another steal. Teddy Bridgewater at 3, and Jamal Williams at 3. So he's never been a big giant spender of all this super huge money. The biggest one he's done this year is Cade Mays at 8.3.
Yeah.
That's the most he has done this offseason was Cade Mays.
But
Other than that, I don't think anybody's gotten even 6 million. I think 4 million was the most anybody got.
So are we surprised?
No,
No.
This is his MO. I don't know why people think that he's all of a sudden going to be like, F the money, I don't care anymore. He does it the same way every single offseason.
Now, I expected, or at least projected, had a feeling, no knowledge, no inside info or anything, that maybe he was going to do something just a little bit different this year. And then when I started to look at the cap situation a little bit deeper, what it was going to take to sign our guys, processes that we went through this week, processes that I went through last week, I came to the realization that getting a Goff restructure done or conversion, they did a restructure, that was going to field the team. And not only was that just going to field the team, that was not going to leave you with a ton of money to do anything else of grandiose style. And it also does one other thing. And that is that Brad Holmes loves to keep a kitty. He likes to have a $15 to $20 million kitty for the season for emergency purposes. He's smart. He knows that, that going into the season, he doesn't necessarily have to keep a kitty if he's worked out a deal with Amon-Ra St. Brown or somebody else. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown might be the only other deal that is of significant value that you could do something with. Maybe a Lee McNeil, where you could probably convert another 10 or 15 million in emergency purposes. I'm sure that those conversations have already been had, and I'm sure there's, tentative deals already in place. But that's Brad. He wants to be set up for the season and make sure that in a pinch, if he has to go out and make a trade, if he has to bring somebody in and pay that salary, that he has the money to do it. I think it makes a lot more sense the way that Brad does this. One, I feel it's intelligent. He makes the right moves. He shed a bunch of dead weight. He shed a bunch of older vets, and he's bringing in youth movement. In the youth movement through the draft, we could end up with 10 draft picks. We could end up with 8. We could end up with 6. Hell, we could end up with 12 for all I know. But bringing in the youth movement is the exact right course to have. And I think that if he goes really deep in this draft on defense, then that's going to give you your answer. That he wanted to get really young on defense and bring in some high-quality football players, just like that good old high-quality H2O, and reset the future for the next 3 to 4 seasons, which is exactly what he would do with this draft if he went mostly defense. And I think he is, because if you look at the offense, what do we need? Yeah, outside of offensive line, what do we really need?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
My next one here is kind of spicy. And this is another one from a member of this channel. I'm not going to name any names. So you're incognito here. Everything's safe. Okay. This is a safe space. Here we go.
Shit, I'll out him. Who is it?
I'm not going to say. This one's spicy. Brad has been cooking spoiled chitlin sandwiches ever since the Brian Branch pick. Name me a keeper since that pick.
This is hold on. This is a member?
Yeah. And Brad ran out of Stafford picks, and now he's lost.
Okay.
And these were comments on one of my posts.
Well, don't give it away because see now people are going to go look. See, here's the thing. It's pretty easy to pick in the top 5. It's pretty easy to pick in the top 10. It's not easy to pick at the end of the first round. And if you go back and look at what he's done, and I swear I just went over this, but maybe this individual, I don't know who it is. Maybe they didn't listen to the entire breakdown, or maybe they didn't care, or maybe they thought I was full of, you know what. So when you're picking towards the end of the first round, it's really hard for multiple reasons, but we'll start with the most obvious. Talent, depth. Not every draft is the same. No two drafts have the same amount of players available at all positions. Some positions are deeper than others. Some years you have a lot of QBs, some years you don't. And in drafts like this, where you don't have a lot of QBs, do you know what's going to happen? I'm going to ask you a question. In a draft like this, where there's not a lot of QBs, what would you say is going to happen to teams that are picking in the middle of the first and towards the end of the first? Why is it going to be difficult for them to find high quality football players?
Because the three main components in a draft, the three most important positions, you have quarterback, offensive tackle, and edge. So since there's no quarterbacks, they're not going to be getting a quarterback. They're not going to be getting in the edge they want because they're already going to be gone, and they're not going to get the offensive tackle they want because those are going to be gone. Those three positions are there's going to be a run on two of those positions because there's no quarterbacks. There may only be one quarterback taken in the first round.
Well,
It's
at least in the top 15, it sounds like there's going to be one. If someone takes Ty Simpson that early, I would be surprised. And if a third quarterback goes in the first round, then
that'd be
then someone really doesn't care about their draft picks and they just want 5 years of control, which is stupid. But where I'm going with this is when you have a lot of quarterbacks, it pushes the higher quality players down the line. So, for instance, it was 2023, I believe, or 24. It's 24 because we were...
Yeah, in Detroit when we had
Detroit when we had all of the offensive players go, and then finally, was it Dallas Turner that it went at like 15 or 16 to the Rams? And that was the first defensive player that came off the board. So you had offensive linemen and you had quarterbacks going off the board and maybe one or two wide receivers that went off the board super early. So now you have all these defensive players that are available in the second half of the first round. And then there was a run on defensive players. So in a draft like this, no quarterbacks, really the wide receiver class is, in my opinion, deep, but not for true number one wide receivers. There's a lot of true number twos. There's a lot of slot guys. There's only a few that have the requisite size to be an X receiver. If you're looking for that bigger bodied X receiver, Denzel Boston being one, but he doesn't have the speed. Not that you necessarily need to be a burner, but he doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have breakaway speed. He doesn't have JMO speed. He doesn't even have 4.4 speed. He runs, 4.54, 4.55, something like that. So in this draft, you don't have receivers that necessarily are going to come to a team and make them instantly better. Malachi Lemon could be a lemon just because a lot of people think his attitude and the way that his persona was at the combine is spelling trouble already. That's like, to me, reading a text and inferring someone is mad at you. The football player is still the football player. So I look at this draft and I say, okay, there's two receivers that I could see going in the top 20 that could make sense. But in previous drafts, you've got 3-4 receivers that could go in the top 20. That's pushing defense players down the board. You're going to have one running back that's going to go in the top 10. You're going to have one quarterback going in the top 10. You're going to have probably one receiver going in the top 10, one offensive lineman going in the top 10, and then you're going to have 4 linebackers going in the top 10, or 3 linebackers. One of them's currently an edge, but he'll be a linebacker at the next level. I'm talking about Bailey, Reese, and Styles. So by the time the Lions get to pick 17, they should have a good shot this year. But in seasons past, it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah.
So in the drafts, I went over this the other day. We were just crawling out of the COVID years. So a lot of players didn't have the requisite, just supposed to be my new word of the week, I guess. They didn't have the requisite experience. They didn't have the on-field training and development that most players have as a 3-year college player or a 4-year, one redshirt junior or whatever, or redshirted as a freshman, and now they're a junior. Not a lot of seniors, coming out. You got a lot of younger players. So 2020 and 2021 really hurt the draft classes in 2024 and 2025, especially when players took, eligibility chances or extra eligibility. And so you had older players coming out in 24 and 25 that also missed development in 2020 and 2021. So now the pool is full of older players. And so you have to navigate all of those things. Never are you going to have two drafts that are the same. So saying that Brad is missed because of, he did great in 23 and then hasn't done anything since. Well, let me rewind back to 2021. I believe that's when Kirby Joseph was drafted, right? Was it 21 or 22? 21. There was a local beat writer, I think it was Dave Burkett actually, who told or made the comment to Brad that Kirby Joseph was not a good pick. It was a big reach. And then his first season was not good. His second season was getting better. I think he pulled down 6 interceptions, or at least 4. I think him and Iffy were right between 4 and 6 apiece.
Yeah.
And so you could see that the trajectory was happening, right? He was getting some interceptions, but he was not playing well as a defender, right? He was not defending the receiver well, but he was a ball hawker. But by year 3, the dude is standing on business and one of the best safeties in the league. But you evaluated him as a rookie. And you say he's not a good player because he had a bad rookie year. And then look who he became in year 3. You have to go 3 years away from every draft before you look back and evaluate. Sure, every season, we all do the same stupid exercise. We go back and we say, how would we redraft our draft last year? Where would these players end up? And a lot of things change because hindsight is a vicious way to live. But 3 years out, you know who that player is now. Unfortunately, right now, we have a few players that have not gotten better or have not played enough. Mekhi Wingo hasn't played enough, but he was injured. Rakestraw hasn't played, injured. Hendon Hooker didn't work out, but that was a luxury pick. Broderick Martin didn't work out, luxury pick. You already grabbed 4 All-Pros and Pro Bowlers in 2023. Tell me why you needed better players. I just went through all this the other day.
Yeah.
Let me give you the numbers. I'm not going to go through all of it, but let me just give you the numbers. And maybe you'll change your opinion. Not you, but whoever this person is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Since 2021, Brad Holmes has selected 36 players in the draft. 28 of them remain on the roster today. That is a 78% hit rate for players sticking on the roster. The league average is under 55%, just sticking on the roster. Now, this next stat should blow you away. 53% of the players that Brad has drafted are starters. It's not like they were just handed a job. They earned that job, and that 53%, those 15 players are playing at a high level. 17% of 36 players are All-Pro. 2 of them got shafted. So really that number should be closer to probably 23% All-Pros. 22% either have an All-Pro or a Pro Bowl, and 2 players got shafted Pro Bowls. That number should be higher or closer to 27%. There is not a GM in the league that can touch that. Not one. So you, the fan evaluator, the Monday morning GM or the Monday morning quarterback or whatever, you may not agree. But I'll tell you right now, every GM, all 31 of them in the league not named Brad Holmes, are looking at Brad Holmes and saying, damn, much respect. So stick around the channel. You might learn a few things.
All right. I got one more for you. Hopefully you're ready for this one. Because our GM is cheap, he only wants to pay the people he drafted. He either lowballed all these players or never offered them anything, just like he did Za'Darius.
Hold on. First of all, maybe you don't know current events, but let me tell you something. Za'Darius Smith retired after 3 games.
Well, I think he's saying after the first year when we had Za'Darius and we didn't bring him back.
He retired.
Yeah, I get it.
But the point is, look, Brad Holmes brought him in at the trade deadline, and what everybody missed, and don't even tell me that you didn't miss it because I know you did. I did. When you looked at that contract and you saw a 2-year deal. Go lay down, buddy. Go lay down. When you saw a 2-year deal, you had Za'Darius for 2 years and you saw $10 million. Everyone thought that he was under contract for 2 seasons for $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no. He was under contract for 1 season. I'm sorry, 2 for $15 million. He was under contract for 1 season, of which $10 million was getting paid in 2024, and $5.6 million was getting paid in 2025 without him being on the roster. So had the Lions kept him to the new league year, they would have had to have paid him $5.6 million just to be on the roster, let alone make the roster. Now, if he would have retired, I'm sure that they would have gotten some of that money back, but the Lions already knew. You can't tell me that they didn't have an inkling that Za'Darius Smith really didn't want to play, or maybe he was already contemplating retirement. And then you got to look at the other side of the coin. He was a super sub specialist. He played on 3rd down, or he played on long passing downs. That's it. He played like 35% of the snaps. You're going to pay a dude $5.6 million to play 30% of the snaps and potentially retire at age 32 years old? Got to be smart. Like, that's stupid money. I mean, if you're okay with that kind of stuff, give me your checkbook. Let me go shopping then.
Yeah.
We
got to remember also, Brad knows way more than we do.
1,000%.
He talks to the players. He knows the contracts. We don't. They have so much more information than we do.
So imagine that Brad would have paid all that money, and then the player retires, and so now you're down a spot, right? Now you're down a spot, and it's an edge, and you lost all that money. I see John Desage is concerned about what the hit rate is over since 23. It's higher. It's higher because this includes 21 and 22, and we've already lost players from those drafts. So in 2023, 50%, 24, 50%. Where's 25? 25 is 57% as players that are starters. So what is that number? What's 50, 50, and 57? Maybe it's about the same. It's 52.3%. So it's 53%, just like the other ones. As far as all pros, you have 2 all pros in 23, 2 Pro Bowlers in 23, and 24 and 25 are way too early. Way too early. You can't do anything about 25. And most of these guys that got Pro Bowls and all pros didn't happen until their 3rd season. Aiden just got an all pro in his 4th season. So you got to let that think, let all that stuff think in. It's too early to evaluate 24 and 25. 24 will get evaluated this year after this season. 25 will get evaluated after 2027 season. Anything else?
I figured you would kind of enjoy what the fans were thinking. I got a couple more.
Well, hold on. I got to address one more thing that a fan is thinking. Saying that 24 and 25 were the worst drafts. I think I just went over all this. 2024 was probably the worst draft for a lot of teams. The pool was terrible. And you had all these quarterbacks. I mean, look at the Vikings. You got J.J. McCarthy. J.J. Bust McCarthy. Terrible move. First round pick. Bust. Patriots. 4th round pick from that year. Not on the roster. But go team by team by team by team by team. Do the research yourself. I will at some point. Maybe I'll have it ready for next week. But I'm going to tell you right now, 2024's draft was not a good draft for a lot of teams. And that was like you're starting to really crawl out of that COVID situation where players were not developed, were older, and look, we're only 2 seasons into it. Terry and Arnold was injured last year. Mahogany, a 6th round pick, is a starting guard. How is that a bad pick? Manu, we don't know what he is yet, but even if he's a backup, that's a great pick. Rakestraw, 2nd round pick, we don't know what he is. If he's a backup, that's a great pick. Vaki, when he's on the field, is one of the best special teamers in the league. And then you have Terry and Arnold, who, when he's on the field in his 2nd season, was one of the better cornerbacks in the league. He was ranked as a top 20 through a lot of the games that he was in where he wasn't injured. And then Mekhi Wingo was injured. So, we don't know. You can't evaluate him yet. But anyway, keep going.
All right, so one last one here. At this point, we will be fielding a team of all practice squad players. I don't know what this team is doing anymore. Now, you got to remember, this is just fans airing their frustration over Brad not spending a boatload of money. They were very frustrated that they didn't know about the Jared Goff restructure until the very bitter end, like we knew it was going to happen. It had to happen. I don't think they could have been cap compliant without it happening. So patience is very, very, very thin right now.
So what was the statement? And then I want to, just 1 second, I want to say this too. I get it. You're trying to say you only care about your team. You don't care about, what the other teams did. But let me at least advise as to why that would be a bad idea. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a biologist, but I know some people in this chat are. When you go and evaluate a problem, when you're trying to figure something out, you have a control, right? You have to evaluate everything against that control. Well, the control is the league. All 32 teams is the control. So what all those teams do matters. How each one of those teams' 2024 draft went matters, because then you can compare your team against the control, and then in the control will be the average of all, and then you can take and compare your team against the NFC North and how you compared against those GMs that matter the most. So it does matter, because you can't go out on a limb and say that Brad Holmes made mistakes, Brad Holmes sucks, Brad Holmes' 24 draft was a failure. People that are saying that, and I'm not saying you are, John Desage, because you've been around for a long time, I've always respected you, but I know who's saying that. And they are uneducated, and they don't have a clue. It's the same people that are saying that the Trinity Benson deal was a bad deal. Let me clue you in on something. The Lions brought in Trinity Benson, I think, for a 6th round pick, and then they got rid of him for a 6th round pick.
They brought him in for a 7th and got rid of him for a 6th.
Yeah, the other way, 7th for 6th. So how was that a bad deal? When you don't have any players, all of your wide receivers are injured, you need someone to play. You bring the guy in, doesn't matter if he works out or not. It's a 7th round pick. And then you get rid of him for a 6th round pick. That's just uneducated people that don't know what they're talking about, rage baiting you to get you all riled up and to feed into the toxic energy of Detroit media or fan-driven media. That's all it is. There's nothing educated about it. All right, keep going.
So what he said was, at this point, we will be fielding a team of all practice squad players. I don't know what this team is doing anymore, and a slap face emoji. Okay. Well, I'll say this, in 24 and 25, the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, half of our defense, especially the backfield, was all practice squad players. It's going to happen. We've been the most injured team on defense the last 2 years in a row, and it's been historically injured.
So, yeah, that's a good point. The fact that someone just said, I can't believe you're defending us for being in last place. We were another top 6 injured team for the 5th year in a row. And it's 2026, so we are no longer just in last place. The table's been reset. It's a new year. That was last year. This is this year. I'll go out on a limb and I'll say this. If the Lions don't win the division, I will donate $1,000 to whatever charity y'all want me to donate to. One $1,000 bill will go to charity, not mine. Any charity you want it to go to. So get at me at sometime in February next year when we're done wrapping up the Super Bowl. So to answer the question, we're bringing in all these practice squad players. Where?
Well, he just says, at this point, we will be fielding a team of all practice squad players. I don't know what this team is doing anymore because we're not going out and getting a bunch of starters.
Well, we did get a starter. We got multiple starters.
I think so too.
We brought in Cade Mays, starter. The only other center that has not given up a sack in two years. I think that's the same or better than Tyler Linderbaum from a statistical standpoint. Rock Ya-Sin, starter. Teddy Bridgewater's a backup QB. He's more of a coach QB. Larry Borum, starter. Christian Izien, starter. And if you haven't learned about Christian Izien, I did a full diagnostic on him last night and released the article on DetroitFootballJournal.com. Get over there, read it, and I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised at who Christian Izien is. We brought in Isaiah Pacheco, starter. Malcolm Rodriguez, former starter on special teams. Not one of those guys is going to end up on a practice squad. So I don't get it. Are they talking about the rest of the players that we're bringing in? Yeah. Well, okay, if that's the case, let me give you a little clue here. We already have 56 players on the roster. So every player that we bring in right now is expected to be practice squad or cut. Except for the players that we bring in through the draft. Except for any players that we bring in through free agency. Those are the only players that have a chance to make the top 53. I don't think people look. I don't think people look at anything. I think that they just spew BS and throw spaghetti up against the wall and hope it's going to stick. It's not going to stick here.
We need to go to a Seattle Seahawks chat room with Seattle Seahawks fans.
Why is that?
They just won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And guess how many people they've signed outside of their own building in free agency?
I think one.
They had 0 yesterday.
Here, let me take a look.
So, I mean, they haven't went out and done a bunch of splashy moves, and they just won the Super Bowl.
Well, shocker, okay? Yeah. Last year, they brought in 4 free agents. They spent $200 million. $100 million went to Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, yeah.
Right? So they had, outside of their quarterback, they brought in 3 players. Two of which were on the offense, 2 were on the defense. And they went and won a Super Bowl because they drafted. They drafted extremely well. And I'll say it one last time for the people in the back. Did the Seattle Seahawks have a Super Bowl window last year? Did anybody consider that they were going to go win the Super Bowl?
No.
Then how the hell did they do it? How did they do it? Because they needed a window to be open, right?
They were predicted to get third place in the NFC West.
Okay. So they did
Third or
it.
fourth place.
They did it by taking valuable players in the draft, developing those players, re-signing those players over the last several seasons. Several meaning more than 5. And so they kept these really good players, and then they added to it in every draft. Do you know that a majority of their players on offense last year, a decent majority, were drafted between 24 and 25, as well as the defense? So if you draft well, then you can absolutely go win a Super Bowl. And that's what the Seattle Seahawks did. The only person that really changed that team was Sam Darnold through free agency. They brought in, I think, DeMarcus Lawrence, too. He had a decent season. They had six sacks all season. AQM had more than that, double that almost.
Yeah, he had a premonition, though. He said, I'm not going to win a Super Bowl being in Dallas. And he left Dallas, and he got a Super Bowl.
Okay. And so Borum is a starter. I don't think he's going to be a starter at the end of the day because he has to compete with Penei Sewell and then whoever we draft. And he has to compete with Giovanni Manu. But don't get it twisted. Larry Borum can be a much better player on a better team in the better scheme with better football players around him. So you are the sum of your parts and pieces. And if your parts around you are much better than what you were just playing with, likely chance is that you're going to be a better football player too. You mentioned
if you look at Borum and Cade Mays, they've both in the pros and college played every position on the line.
Yeah, they're utility guys.
That's the utility. Cade Mays wasn't even a center until 2 years ago. He played tackle and guard. In the pros.
Looks like Trace woke up. She's not feeling good. She's heard all this negativity this morning. She's like, what was going on?
No, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying. The whole point of this exercise was Lions fans unfiltered, without having anything to provoke them. I just posted stuff on the internet, and this was some of their feedback to me, and they're just expressing their frustration with the way things are going with the Detroit Lions this offseason. And I think a lot of it stems from the Lions winning 9 games and getting last place last season. But you know what? I'll say this:
a 9-8 last place is a hell of a lot better than a 4-13 or a 5-12 or a 6-11. You know what I mean? Sorry. So hold on. I want to respond to something in the chat real quick too, because saying so much kissing Brad's ass, just like Wings fans with Eisman. Well, one, we can't compare hockey to football. Takes 10 years to build a championship team. We're just now entering year 6. And Devil Dog 84. I don't know if you've been in here very much or at all ever before, but I just went through all that. I just compared what Brad has done to the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Eagles. And guess what? Howie Roseman, Les Snead, all took almost 8 seasons to win a Super Bowl. And they missed the playoffs a combined 7 times before winning a Super Bowl. 7 seasons they did not make the playoffs. Some of them, I think it was the Rams missed the playoffs for 3 years in a row, and then none of them won more than a division before winning a Super Bowl. So miss me with all that because it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're drafting, developing, retaining, and then adding to it every year with guys that are younger and competitive and can make your team better. The draft has been always the way to go, and I get it. People don't like it. I've said it from day one. That should be the plan. From day one, it's been the plan. From day one that I started doing this, I will go in and excite, except for this year. I didn't do anything really with predicting free agency. But the last couple of years, I hit it head on what they were going to do in free agency. I hit it head on what they were going to do in the draft, and we had very successful seasons. Brad is going to draft and develop and retain and build sustained success because that is the only way to do it. And to Peter Van Larhoven's comment in the chat, you're 100% right. The reason why the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots made it to the Super Bowl last season is because both of those teams were some of the healthiest teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You ask any professional athlete, the way you win championships is by staying healthy. The Lions have been a top 6 injured team since 2021. And in some of those years, they were the number 1, the number 2, the number 4, and I think 2 years at number 6. You can't win if you're not on the field. So, and that's not Brad's fault because these are not injury-prone players, right? These are starters that some of them had 0 injury history, and they're getting injured. You can't do anything about a broken arm, a broken leg, a broken wrist, a broken ankle. I mean, you can't do anything about it. A hamstring pull, common, right? A torn pec on Davenport because Paris Johnson decided to shred it at the line of scrimmage. Can't do anything about that. Can't do anything about Derek Barnes getting clipped at the knees. Can't do it. Can't do anything about Kirby Joseph that ends up with a degenerative knee and cartilage issues. That is a big miss for me. I'm not going to kiss Brad's ass on that one. I think that they missed something entirely. I don't think that they went through a big enough medical evaluation on Kirby Joseph before they signed him. But guess what? Lesson learned. Now I guarantee you every player is going to go through multiple whole body MRIs and CT scans and get loaded up with radioactivity before they sign their next deal. I guarantee it. Seattle Seahawks. So you mentioned, who did they sign?
Yeah.
Who have they brought back? Well, they let go Boy Mafi, Kenneth Walker, Kobe Bryant, Tariq Woolen. They just let go 4 studs.
Yep.
4 studs that accumulated $145 million in new contracts. Just 3 players. I don't know Tariq Woolen's yet. But just between Boy Mafi, Kenneth Walker, and Kobe Bryant, $145 million. But they'd let go 4 starters and 4 extremely good starters. And then who did they bring back or sign? Well, they got Rashid Shaheed done, Josh Jobe, Emmanuel Wilson, Brandon Peely, Josh Jones, Brady Russell, and Rodney Thomas. So they brought back 1, 2, 3 guys that actually helped them last year, but Emmanuel Wilson didn't do a ton. I got to take a quick break. Eric, if you want to take it away for a few moments.
Sure. I'm going to say this about the Detroit Lions being in 4th place last year. The Detroit Lions won 9 games last year, and they were able to put together their 4th winning season in a row, 2 9-8s, a 15-2, and a 12-5 season. Followed up, by the second 9-8 season. Now, the first 9-8 season, they did not make the playoffs. The second 9-8 season, they did not make the playoffs again. But this time we ended up in 4th place instead of 2nd place with that 9-8 season. And if you look at the other teams in our division, the Vikings had 9 wins. They got 3rd place over 4th place because they beat us twice. And then if you look at the Green Bay Packers, they had 9 wins. I guess technically 9.5 if you count the tie that they had with the Cowboys. So 3 teams in the division had 9 wins. And then you have the Bears, who had one of the luckiest seasons ever, played a 4th place schedule, which they won't be playing this year. And they amassed a whopping 11 wins this past season. Now, the Detroit Lions were very, very close, extremely hair-thin close to having 10 wins and actually making the playoffs. Had that touchdown counted at the end of regulation in the Steelers game, after the ref put his arms up in the air and said, "Touchdown Detroit Lions," and the crowd erupted, had that touchdown stayed on the board and not come back for some silly flag, The Detroit Lions would have beat the Steelers. The Steelers would have not went to the playoffs. And the Detroit Lions would have ended up in second place in the division with 10 wins. One play, one singular play is why the Detroit Lions ended up in fourth place versus second place. That's how close competition is in the NFL. And I do not think that the Lions are that far away. If you go to DraftKings or ESPN Bet or Caesar Sportsbook or any of the sports books, and you look at the NFC North odds to win the NFC North for 2026, you are going to see the Minnesota Vikings way back in fourth place at like plus 450. Then you're going to see the Bears back in third place at like plus 250. Then you are going to see the Green Bay Packers in second place at plus 180. And then you're going to see in first place the Detroit Lions at plus 165. So what does that tell you? That tells you that Las Vegas believes that the Lions just might get healthy this year. They don't need to add too much to this team. They just need to have a little health. And you factor in a fourth place schedule. They're going to play 3 games against weak fourth place teams from other divisions. So the Lions are most likely going to climb out of this hole that they put themselves in last year. They have one of the best chances in the NFL to go from worst to first this year. And I wholeheartedly believe that the Lions will win somewhere between 12 and 14 games. I put it at 13 games this next season, but I see no reason they won't go between 12 and 14 wins this next season. Welcome back, Will.
All right. Quick transition here. I'll be back in 30 seconds or so. I got to get a couple of things up. We're going to dive into a couple of the videos when I get back, or when we get back. As soon as I can figure out where I put everything.
Calm that chat down.
No, they can keep on going, man. It's great. It's great conversation. We love it. You know, just like the rules say, man. We welcome opinions. What we don't welcome is distractions, right? Like, we want to have a good, open conversation. Your First Amendment is totally safe here. However, you know, we do have a few rules. The rules were updated this morning to make sure that everyone could get at least somewhat of a glimpse of what we try to do. No sexual innuendos, no racial stuff, no discrimination. It's automatic ban. You get maybe one warning depending on how bad it is. But that's it, man. Other than that, it's gloves are off. Like, it's okay to disagree. You know, it's okay to have a different opinion. We just try to do it in a respectful manner. That's all. We just try to do it in respect. And it's always about truth, honesty, and transparency, but facts. If you're going to bring something, just know this dude right here is going to bring facts. I'm not going to bring just opinion. I'll give you opinion, but if I do, it's rooted in fact. I know that sounds weird. It's an oxymoron, but it's just, it is what it is. All right, we'll be right back here in just a few seconds.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap, back looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it
sir.
down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job. Pressured by Hutchinson. He goes down again.
All right. I wanted to get into some of the videos from our new guys, our new practice squad guys. Eric, I'm going to try to fix this in the background.
That's so funny.
What's that? Well, all our new practice squad guys. Yeah.
Practice squad guys.
Yeah. I'm going to try to, I want to hear what they have to say. And I haven't had a chance to do it. I tried to do it last night, but we got off on another tangent last night.
Yeah.
And it's all good because I love it, man. I love the energy. I respect everybody. And Lanner, I'm surprised by you, man, because you know damn well I don't stretch no facts. Like, it's fact or it's not. I don't stretch anything. And if someone's out there trying to say I stretch facts, that is the furthest thing from the truth. There's no reason for me to have to stretch a fact, because then it wouldn't be a fact. That would just be conjecture, and that's not what I'm doing. It's always truth, honesty, and transparency, man. And you know what? I'll say this. Judge me by my losers because I have so few. But go look around, and I'm not going to call out, other individual media members or individual content creators, but they have a ton of losers. They got a bandwagon cart full of losers. All the picks that they wanted to come to Detroit, all the free agents that they wanted to come to Detroit, all the edge rushers they wanted to come to Detroit, they've gotten all of it wrong. All of it. So if they're getting all of it wrong and I'm getting the large majority of it right, it's not about being right. That's just part of the equation. I do research.
Will, did you know that the Lions traded for Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and Trey Hendrickson last year?
Oh, they brought in J.C. Horn too.
Yeah, they're all here.
Yep. And they did it again this year, somehow. So, yeah, do the research, man. It's a lot of people just jump on a mic and they talk smack because they don't have anything valuable to say. They don't bring facts. They don't give you, highly intelligent football conversation all the time. It's a low amount of time. We're here. We try to do everything from a fact-based, research-based, and we want to have really great conversations. That's what it's all about. And if we tend to get a lot of things right, it's because I put the work in, right? It's because Eric puts the work in, and that's what we're all about here. That's why this channel and Detroit Football Journal and everything else is growing so fast. I'm trying to get this fixed here in the background. It's not letting me. Hold on.
I have a little interesting tidbit of news if you want it.
Yeah, go ahead while I'm doing this.
All right. The Arizona Cardinals, they got to the quarterback just 30 times in 2025, one of the worst marks in the NFL. But now their top pass rusher could be leaving. Josh Sweat, the Cardinals' top free agent from last season, has reportedly asked for a trade.
Oh.
Cardinals edge Josh Sweat has requested a trade this week per source. The Packers and Eagles are both reportedly interested in him. Philly is trying to find another star defensive lineman after losing Phillips to Carolina. This would be a tough pill to swallow for the Cardinals, to say the least. Last year, he signed a $76.4 million contract, and he reportedly requested a trade from Arizona. So there's that.
I'm sorry. So that was Josh Sweat you were talking about, right?
Yeah. So Josh Sweat. So you wait for the rumor. It's coming.
And he's with Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona. Wasn't he with the Bears?
I thought he was. I guess I don't remember him getting traded, but
Yeah. I think he was a free
or
agent
left
last
in
year.
free agency or whatever
Yeah.
happened. I don't remember. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I didn't realize he was with Arizona. Clearly, I would want out too. I mean, they're going through a full rebuild.
Oh, I guess apparently he asked to be traded when Jonathan Gannon got fired.
Oh,
So he's been asking for quite some time.
all right. This might look a little funny, but we'll just try to roll with it. I guess it's not terrible. I hope everything fits. Like, try to fit these guys in. They might jump off screen for a minute. But anyway. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. It's Friday the 13th. Everybody is going to be rocking and rolling today, man. Is there a full moon out tonight or something?
It's Friday the 13th.
Yeah, but is there a full moon?
I don't know.
Oh, people tend to get, chippy when there's a full moon. It's something that I've learned about the hospital injury. Whenever there's a full moon at the hospital, whenever there's a full moon, don't go to the hospital.
Man, you're talking about full moons.
Yeah,
I'm reading this book right now, and it was written by a lady that went on a YOOPERLITE tour with me, and she wrote a chapter in it and includes YOOPERLITEs in it. And I haven't gotten to that chapter yet. It's chapter 43, and I'm like halfway through the book. And it's all about phases of the moon. And
that's a YouTube channel.
Oh my God. So I'm having to learn astrology to read this book.
Yeah, well, I mean, the phases of the moon that affect the Lions is on Thanksgiving. When we have a waxing gibbous, we lose.
Yeah.
So, all right, Larry Borum, our new practice squad player. Let's hear what he has to say.
This offense that just kind of seemed to fit.
It's explosive. Everything, all the weapons, everything in this offense, in this game, is built for explosion. And then also being able to be back home with the fam is another just key component.
How much family do you still have here, Larry?
A lot. My whole family's still here, so I grew up in Oak Park, was born in Detroit, went to Brother Rice, went to Oak Park schooling, growing up until high school. I'm a hometown kid, so all my family's still here.
How excited is the family that you're coming home?
Extremely ecstatic. My mom she was crying as soon as I called her and told her.
Keep track of Detroit when you were. Have you always been a Lions fan? And when you were in Chicago, how much were you always keeping track?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like a lot of players, no matter who you play for, you always have like I'm gonna go check and see how my team is doing. You know what I mean? So I always check and look, and yeah, I've been a fan.
How do you see yourself fitting into this team and helping this squad with your skill set?
Just being big, physical, and being able to move. I feel like that's key components is being a good offensive lineman. I feel like I can do all three of those things and can do them well.
What was the moment like when you put the pen to paper to come back home?
It's surreal. It still doesn't feel real because like it's just home. So I don't really know how to explain it to people, but it doesn't. I'm ecstatic. I can't really put words to it.
Is there anything in particular outside of the family that you're looking forward to being around?
No, really just the fam. I mean, I kind of know everything else, like in the area and whatnot. So really just being with the fam and being able to be with them year round instead of just, like off season or going back and forth between OTAs.
Explain a little bit more just about, or tell us a little bit more about the phone call with your mom. When was it when you decided, to come?
As soon as I got the phone with my agent, I called her and she was almost breaking down. She's my rock. She's everything. Her and my wife's over there. I don't want to get emotional up here, but yeah, she means the world.
Obviously, this was a possibility before, Monday or whatever. So had you told her this might be a possibility?
No, I didn't. I honestly didn't know. I mean, whenever my agent called me, once that period started, was it Monday when Tampa started? I mean, we weighed out our options and told you, almost a no-brainer. So.
Beyond the financial component of free agency, what was maybe the team's pitch to you or your agent about, coming to Detroit?
Honestly, it wasn't a super big, just pitch from them. I mean, we just weighed our options and seen what the best fit would be and just went with that.
You were a 11-game starter last year. Do you expect to start for this team?
I played 4 different positions over my career. So in any way I can help the team, it just help us move forward. I'm willing to do whatever, whether that's starting, not starting, not really I'm a team player.
What about right tackle versus left tackle? I mean, a lot of people are sort of penciling you in for the right tackle spot, moving Panay to left. What have they told you about that?
Honestly, not too much. You got to talk to the head man.
You did mention you've played all 4 spots. We hear that a lot with guys that they'll play wherever the team needs you. Do you have a favorite?
Honestly, no. I mean, honestly, no. No, I don't.
It's just more about knowing you're going to be in one spot. Is that?
I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, kind of having a fluid understanding of just one position. You know what I mean? But I mean, I've been the swing guy. I've been some of everything. So I don't think a playbook or anything is an issue. It's just more so just working out at one spot.
Have you had a chance to talk to Frank yet, and just maybe what those conversations initially went like, how much you're looking forward to working with him, and then maybe just also opposite a guy like Panay, one of the best in the business at the position?
Yeah. Haven't really talked too much to Hank yet. I'll talk to him shortly. But I've known Panay since we had the same agent. I've known him pre-draft. Been a close friend of mine, so it's fun to get back to work with him.
What was your impression of Dan Campbell from afar, and have you had any interactions with him yet?
Man, he's a fiery guy. He gets after it. He cares about his players like a lot. Like you can being from another team and just watching him, you can tell how much he truly cares about everyone in his building. So it's an honor. It's an honor.
This is the first year like free agents have been allowed to have videos, meetings with teams, like in that once that period opens. Did you have those with teams, and what impact or what benefit do you think there was to that?
No, I didn't. Personally, I didn't have any. I think there's a good benefit from that. I mean, just being able to talk to, maybe I don't know the specific rules, or maybe it's a position coach calling somebody, or you know what I mean. So I mean, that could be good.
You spoke about your connection to Detroit. Just Detroiters carry Detroit close to their heart. Just how much did this city help you become the person you are now, and just how much you look at just having that jersey on, man, just repping the deal.
Yeah, it grew me into the man I am today. This city it's nothing but people that get up and get after it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing but hustlers. People are hard workers in this city, and I take that with a lot of pride. So being from here and being able to put the jersey on is everything, because I know it's representing everybody they ain't want to get up today. Everybody, you know what I mean? So everybody that gets up and have to get after it is what it represents.
You made your first big move in the NFL. You 4 years in Chicago, then you moved to Miami, and now you're here. What about going to Miami last year can help you maybe acclimate quickly at your new stop here?
Going to Miami, I think it reinstilled a lot of confidence in me, and just being very, very overly confident with my play style and the way I have success in this league. So being able to bring that from there to here is everything.
What other teams, I guess, were you looking at here this week? Was Chicago an option possibly?
No, Chicago was not an option. There's a couple other teams. Just keep it at that.
Do you still keep your offseason home here, or have you been living?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm here in offseason, yep.
A little drive over then, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
You close with any other guys on the team?
Ennis went to Mizzou. As I was coming out, he was coming in. Panay, that's about it.
This opportunity for you, you're part of a changing of the guard of the sense and on this line. Do you look at that as an opportunity to kind of set your own definition here, or does that come with a lot of pressure?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Sure, just your entry into this is part of a bit of a changing of the guard on the line. So do you look at that as a positive opportunity, or do you think that comes with a little pressure?
No, I think it's positive. I think it's very positive. I get to kind of set my own standards, or you know what I mean, how people look at you. So I think it's very positive.
And in your relationship with Panay that you've kept up, what has he told you kind of about the culture set? The culture is awesome. So he's explained it. We talked about it. It's good.
You guys haven't Kate yet, and what do you think you guys can collectively help this offensive line do?
Just bring a physical style of play. It's already very physical. Just keep the standard. You know what I mean? And just be helpful anyway, honestly.
Okay. Get it. Understand it. And I'm glad that he's back, back in Detroit. Obviously, he's a Detroit native. I mean, he said a few things. One, he was always a Lions fan. Growing up, in Detroit, he's his team has always been the Lions. Even while playing throughout the NFL, he always, checked in on his team, right? asked about positions that he wanted to play or where is he going to play. For whatever reason, he's penciled in at that right tackle. He's not going to give up any information, whether he's been given the information or not. I think that for Larry Borom, it's to come in and compete. But the good thing is he's played every position. And I don't think he's played center. Do you know if he's played center?
I did not see.
I don't think he has, but I could be wrong there.
Well, he said 4 positions, so
I missed that too.
Yeah, one of the first things they said, where do you see yourself being a starter? And he's like, well, I've played 4 positions, and I'll just play wherever they want. So there's 5 positions on the line. So I'd say the center's probably the only one he hasn't played.
Probably. He started 11 games last year. So yes, Lanner, he's a starter. And by the way, Rocky Sin started 6 games. Sione Vaki, when he's healthy, is a starter on special teams.
And
hold on. I'm not done. Hold on. Cade Mays is a starting center. Christian Izzian was a starter for 2 seasons. Last year started on special teams. Isaiah Pacheco is a starting running back for the Chiefs. Malcolm Rodriguez started in 2021 and 2022, and he's a starter on special teams when he is healthy. So every single player, Teddy Bridgewater was a starting quarterback. He's no longer a starter anymore. Every single player that the Lions signed are starters, former starters, or started games last year. So that is correct.
Yeah.
Now what were you going to say?
Speaking of Vaki, he just hasn't gotten a fair shake at the stick as far as the running back room goes. He gets a few carries in the preseason, and then you just don't see him anymore. They're using him for special teams, and special teams, that's it. And I'm amazed that they haven't given him a sniff at safety, because isn't that where he played in college?
Yeah, for Utah, he was a safety. He was a damn good safety, but the last season, and see, I did a video on Vaki. He was one of the picks that I called in that season. I did a video. It's somewhere in the videos. You can go back and look. What's funny is during that video, I highlighted the fact that he was such a natural catcher, natural runner for someone that didn't do it since at least high school. I believe that he played running back a little bit in high school. He didn't do it for 3 seasons or whatever it was at Utah, and then they had a bunch of injuries, and he just rose his hand up, said, I'll do it. And next thing you know, the dude's just breaking ankles. So they made the transition when they brought him into Detroit to be more of an offensive threat. I was a bit surprised. I figured he'd have at least a 2-way go, pun intended, to be able to play on both sides as needed. He's probably an emergency safety. But then again, it's really difficult to be in offensive and defensive rooms. Yeah. So I would say he's an emergency safety by all sense of the word, emergency. But he's a kick returner and he's a special teams gunner. So yeah. Getting back to Borom here, he's played all positions but center. I think we've got that figured out. Asked about what position he would prefer to play, or if he'd prefer to play one position, and it's a good answer that he would rather know going into the game, going into the week, going into the season, that he gets to get locked in and locked in on one. Doesn't feel the playbook would ever be a problem, that he can master the playbook, which speaks to his intelligence. Now, I haven't done an extreme deep dive on him. I'm doing that today, and then I'll have an article out today on what I find. I've got to watch some film on him today and kind of get an idea as to who Borom is and maybe why or why not he had success, in the last several seasons that he's been in the league. The good news is he already has a previous relationship with Penei Sewell, and it sounds like they've remained close, and that's great, because anytime you're coming into a new team, he has 2 relationships, one with Ennis Rakestraw at Missouri, and then Penei Sewell. I'm not sure where that stemmed from. I don't know did Borom go to Oregon? I have no idea. I didn't look, so I don't know. But either way, they have a relationship, and that's great. As far as the team, he was asked about Dan Campbell, and I love his answer here, where he says, watching from afar, you can kind of see that this dude really loves his players, and now that he's in the room, and now that he's there, he's going to see it all firsthand. But I mean, he just starts chuckling when he's asked, about Dan Campbell, because Like, what was his first response? That he's just a fiery guy, you know, and I'm glad that Dan just brings that energy each and every single day, because that's exactly what you need out of a head coach, is to bring that energy. And then lastly, he mentioned something. I don't know if you guys caught it, but he said, I've been the swing before. So you guys know how in tune I am with psychology, right? I use psychology a lot when I'm trying to do investigative research. And I look at mannerisms of people, and I watch their facial expressions, their hand expressions, all that stuff. You know, little things give things away. The simple fact that he mentioned I've been the swing before, but he wasn't prompted to answer that way, makes me think that maybe he already knows, or he's been given the idea to come in to be the swing tackle, which means he's going to be that eraser, you know, out on the edge, especially if we're running outside zone. He's going to be that eraser trying to get up to the second level, cross the face of the linebackers, turn, and then lock them out so that Gibbs or Pacheco can, you know, have a free lane between Borum and the sideline to get free. So I think that's probably his deal. He's probably going to compete for the swing tackle, and then compete for a backup at either tackle position, which perfect, you know, perfect for us. I think it's a good spot to be in. Anything you want to add to it?
Listen, I think this guy could come in and be our next Dan Skipper. And I truly believe he's going to be depth. Do I think he's going to be the starter? No, unless somebody gets injured. But then if someone does get injured, he has the ability to start because he's done it. He played 11 games last season. He's a hometown kid. Great story, you know, talking about his mom crying because he's coming home. He doesn't have to leave all the damn time to go to another city, because he was traveling all the way home from Miami in the off season just to come home for a couple of weeks and then have to leave again. So nice hometown kid, grew up here, went to school here, everything. So you never know. I tell you what, if I was an NFL player, I'd play a lot harder for my hometown team than I would for some team down in Miami.
And there may be a little fire inside there, you know, because of that. That's I think that's a good take to have too. You know, he's probably got a little extra fire in the belly being back home. And, you know, he's going to be surrounded by his family too. So I think for all players, when they're on the road, you know, they don't transition their family to move cross country. In the NFL, it's, you know, not for long. You never know how long you're going to stick. You don't know if you're going to make a 53. You don't know if you're going to be on a practice squad. You don't know if you're going to get cut. So it doesn't make sense to uproot your family all the time. You move around in the NFL for however long you're in the NFL, potentially. And in his case, his family stayed in Michigan, and now he's back home. So that gives players, I think, a little added bonus, you know, that they don't have that, you know, I'm missing home feeling to contend with. And, you know, he's just got a short drive into the stadium. However far away he lives, I have no idea. Next up, Cade Mays.
On Sunday. Well, congratulations, Cade.
I appreciate it.
Obviously, the team thought, you know, you were a fit. If a Lions fan were to ask you kind of what do you bring to the table on Sundays, how'd you answer that question?
Yeah, I would say I'm a smart, hardworking guy who's, you know, going to do all I can to get the job done, make the people around me better, and, you know, just do all I can to help this team win and achieve what we want to.
Okay, I'm really curious about the journey to center. You obviously did it, I think, maybe one game in college, first 2 years as a pro guard. You know, what went in the decision to move you there, and how much room do you think you still have to grow in that position?
Yeah, you know, it was just a position that came open, and I got an opportunity there, and just started playing it, started learning it, and I still feel like I'm on the rise at the position. You know, I've come a long way, but I feel like I'm just now getting on my way up. So I feel like I've got a long way to go, and I'm excited for the journey.
Did you have much interaction with the Lions in the pre-draft process? I know Senior Bowl, Hank was working with you guys. What conversations maybe did you have way back then, if any?
Yeah, Senior Bowl, couple conversations, you know, nothing out of the ordinary. So.
What about the fit here for you? Why the Lions? Why was this your choice?
Yeah, I love the brand of football they play. I feel like I would have fit in here. Coming into free agency, I I felt like this was a team where they fit what I do, and I fit what they do. So really looking forward to it.
Kate, how would you describe that brand of football that you're talking about?
Hard-nosed, grit. Obviously, you see it all around the building. But I feel like I play into what they do, and I was very, very interested when going through the free agency thing. Super excited, man.
Obviously, none of us have ever been in that situation, right? But can you explain? A lot of people on the outside just think it's about money or opportunity. But when you sit down before free agency to kind of assess what teams you might want to go to, explain that thought process of like identifying what fits you.
You look at what you want as a player, as a person, and obviously Coach Dan, like my kind of guy, and I feel like I'm his kind of guy. So you look at stuff like that. You look at the brand of football they play. Like I said, hard nosed and wanting to move people vertically and get the run game going. So yeah, that all that stuff kind of goes into play.
Just going back to the versatility aspect of things, how do you feel like that cross-training has kind of helped you develop as the best overall football player?
I think it's helped me a ton. In college I played all 5 positions and just, never feeling like I had to stick with one, just keep showing up and doing whatever was needed of me from the team. And, I took pride in that and just tried to better me wherever I was on the field.
Do you feel like playing guard taught you anything about tackle, or playing tackle taught you anything about center? Do you feel like that helped you in any way?
Yeah, you definitely get different perspective from all positions. Center's a little different. The nuances are different from guard, and tackle's a little bit different than guard. So you just kind of learn as you go and make the most of it.
Hey, did you and Tate overlap at all when you were arriving at Georgia? And do you know him at all?
No, we didn't overlap. We've got a ton of mutual friends, and already spoke to him, and looking forward to forging that relationship.
Check in at all with Hendon Hooker before coming here, just maybe to get a inside the building perspective of the organization?
Me and Hendon were in Carolina together, so we've been tight. Obviously at Tennessee together, but nothing about Detroit. That's my guy. So
Frank Ragnow, I know it's a player removed at the center position, but just maybe what he meant to you in your career, if you ever looked up to him and kind of. Again, I know there's a player between you, but filling his shoes and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell of a player. Had an incredible career here. Loved what he put on tape. Was really a guy I studied when I moved to center, just the way that he played and tried to model my game after that. Just my kind of guy in the sense of how he plays the game and how he goes about his work.
Come from a
I gotta rewind that real quick.
You just kind of
missed the portion.
Learn as you go wherever I was on the field.
Do you feel like playing guard taught you anything about tackle, or playing tackle taught you anything about center? Do you feel like that helped you in any way?
Yeah, you definitely get different perspective from all positions. Center's a little different. The nuances are different from guard, and tackle's a little bit different than guard. So you just kind of learn as you go and make the most of it.
Hey, did you and Tate overlap at all when you were arriving at Georgia? And do you know him at all?
No, we didn't overlap. We've got a ton of mutual friends, and already spoke to him, and looking forward to forging that relationship.
Did you check in at all with Hendon Hooker before coming here, just maybe to get a inside the building perspective of the organization?
Me and Hendon were in Carolina together, so we've been tight. Obviously at Tennessee together, but nothing about Detroit. That's my guy. So
Frank Ragnow, I know it's a player removed at the center position, but just maybe what he meant to you in your career, if you ever looked up to him and kind of, again, I know there's a player between you, but filling his shoes and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell of a player. Had an incredible career here. Loved what he put on tape. Was really a guy I studied when I moved to center, just the way that he played and tried to model my game after that. Just my kind of guy in the sense of how he plays the game and how he goes about his work.
You come from a football family. What was it like to share the news of this extension with them?
Man, incredible. Family's so excited. I'm so excited. It's been a long journey to get here and a lot of ups and downs, but I'm incredibly blessed and grateful and thankful for the opportunity.
You got a taste of playoff football last year for the first time in your career. This team obviously has those kind of ambitions. Just what kind of motivation is it for you to get back there and potentially go even further?
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing better than playoff football. It's a different animal, and the goal is to win a Super Bowl every year, no matter where you are. That's the goal. So when you get a taste of that playoff football, it's different.
Did it feel different to you? Just
Yeah.
the
Absolutely. The energy of the game is different. The fans' energy, it's definitely a different beast, and I can't wait to experience it here.
This line's going to look a whole lot different than it has in past years, right? Taylor Decker's gone, Glasgow. You're part of sort of the new, generation of linemen here. We talked to Larry earlier. What does that mean to you to be a part of that, and what do you think the two of you can kind of help this line do?
Yeah, I'm just incredibly excited to compete and for the opportunity, go out there and put my best foot forward every day and try to be my best and make the people around me better.
A lot of people talk about the mental aspect of being a center and how much study that takes. Where are you in that part of your journey of becoming a true center?
Yeah, I feel like I've learned a ton. I feel like I command the huddle, get everybody on the same page, communicate with the guys around me and be on the same page as the quarterback. That's the main goal. Make sure he's protected and keep hits off of him and keep hits off the backs. So I feel like I'm good in that sense. I feel like I'm a pretty smart player, high IQ, and put a lot of work into it.
You get a chance to connect with Jared yet, and what kind of relationship can you guys forge between now and the beginning of camp, if any at all?
Yeah, I've talked to him a lot of time between now and then. So I think we'll hit it off. He seems like a great dude, and I'm excited for it.
Just going back to the studying aspect, what do you enjoy the most about like that Monday to Saturday time frame when you're digging into all that game plan stuff?
Just all the different looks. Every team's different, and you never have 2 weeks that are the same. So you just dig into it, get what you can out of it, and just prepare to the best of your ability. You're going to get some unscouted looks, and being able to put that puzzle together and figure it out and put a hat on a hat. It's pretty cool.
Stats for offensive linemen, obviously, but one that stands out is you haven't allowed a sack in 2 years as a center. So I'm just curious, what do you attribute your success in protection to?
Man, just going out there and playing hard, fighting. You might find yourself in a bad position, just fighting to get yourself out of it, keep people off your quarterback. I take pride in that. I take pride in keeping the quarterback clean and keeping our backs clean. So
Here all the time, football is football, and there's only so many run plays. Which one's your favorite when it gets called?
I like duo. I like going north and south, but I feel like I can fit into any scheme, run any scheme. But I like power football, going north and south. So
take us through those 2 hours or whatever it was before you agreed to deal with the Lions. Just how frantic is it? How many teams are calling you? Do you do the Zooms with the teams, or how did you handle this?
Yeah, I let my agent handle everything. He did a great job, kept me in the loop with everything. But I put everything in his hands and let him kind of handle it. And I just sat back and let him deal with it.
Deal, or did you have a couple teams at the end that
you? Yeah, he'd have conversations and call me, and then we'd hash it out, and then he'd get back on the phone, and he'd just keep me in the loop, and we talk things out.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Cade.
Appreciate y'all.
Okay, let's break down Cade Mays here. Sorry, I had to rewind it for a minute because I had a small distraction there. I had to handle. If you're going to distract the chat, you're going to get warned, and then you're gone. There's nothing wrong again with sharing opinions, but just some stuff is just a bit over the top. It's not football. It's not what we do here. We don't waste our time with noise. We just don't have time for it. Okay. So Cade Mays, Eric, why don't you tell me what you thought right off the top? I got a bunch of notes.
My very first impression of this kid is, did we just sign Aiden Hutchinson's brother to this team?
Well, you know what I said yesterday? I don't know if you were, I don't think you were in, but last night I was looking at a guy with the last name of Hutchins.
Oh yeah. I was in there for that.
Yeah. So all he needs is an ON. He just needs to be turned on, and he's a Hutchinson number 2 if the Lions draft him this year. But anyway, keep going about Mays.
Man, he looks like Aiden Hutchinson's little brother or something. That just a little chubbier cheeks. That's it. And he sounds like him too. They have very similar voices. I would think those two are brothers. I can't wait to see them standing next to each other. I want to see if it's a real looking thing. Maybe it was just the way he was dressed yesterday or something. But I like the way he talks. I like that he's willing to play any system that the Lions want to play. He looks up to Frank Ragnow, and overall, he hasn't let up a sack in 2 years. So, I know a lot of these fans, they really wanted Linderbaum. I kind of wanted him too. But now looking at what they paid Linderbaum and what we paid for Cade Mays, it's night and day. It's a 3-to-1 ratio. So all 3 years of Cade Mays doesn't even equal 1 year of Tyler Linderbaum. I would rather the Lions take that money and spend it on defense if they were really going to go all in on a move like that. Because according to all reports, the Lions were hot and heavy for Linderbaum.
What is going on in here? My lights are just turning on all by themselves.
Yeah, you went orange all of a sudden. There you go.
We must be having some power issues or something. That's weird. My light shouldn't just be turning on and off. Yeah, so here's what I got. Initially he starts out with talking, well, let me start with this. I started looking at his availability. Because the first thing that's going to be said about this guy was, well, why did he miss games? Brad Holmes bringing in another guy that was injured. And going back to 2024, it appears that he missed weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Week 11 or 16 was probably a bye week. So he missed 6 games, unless they had 2 bye weeks. I can't imagine that. That's not possible. So he missed 6 weeks in 2024. The injuries that I could find so far with just a quick search is that it says he only missed 2 weeks during the preseason with a shoulder injury, but that can't be right because he missed the first, at least according to PFF, he had no stats. So he missed the first 5 weeks, or was he a scratch?
He may have not been the starter then, because he was not the starter to start in Carolina. He wasn't even the center.
So this is why I need to do some research on the guy to figure out exactly when he started at center, and was he a scratch the first 5 weeks, or what the full case is there. Here's more information. He was initially waived by the Panthers in 2024, August 28th. He was signed by the New York Giants on September 10th, and then he was signed back to the Carolina Panthers from the New York Giants practice squad in October 8th. So that explains the games missed. And then his contract was tendered by the Panthers at the end of the season on March 7th. He re-signed with the Panthers in 2025 as a restricted free agent to a 1-year deal. So a little bit of concern here, simply because I need to snag this, because this is not a guy that has been playing consistently at center and has not even made a roster in 2024. He was waived at cut day. And then he bounced around on practice squad in New York, came back to the Panthers, and then that's where he stayed for, about 1 year and 3/4. That gives me concern. However, I don't think he's starting center to start. If he is, that's great. This speaks more to me that Cade Mays may be coming in competing for a spot, and that maybe Tate Ratledge is moving to center. And if that's the case, those two are going to duel it out with Seth McLaughlin. May the best man win. And then we have two backups. One remains on the roster 53. One goes to the practice squad, which I don't think Cade Mays would end up on the practice squad with that kind of a contract. But this also gives the Lions another center that has snaps, that has time on task, that can step in immediately, or if Tate Ratledge is not picking it up fast enough, insert Cade Mays. And away you go. And you're just going to have to deal with it. So that means I am not, back to what I said a couple weeks ago, Eric, I am not all in on left tackle because of Penei Sewell's potential to go to left tackle. I'm not all in on Tate Ratledge being center, but this speaks to me a little bit more so that it could be possible. We have 4 right tackles on the roster. We keep adding right tackles, which tells me more likely Penei's going to the left and Giovanni Manu's our backup. And it could also mean that if the Lions find a center in the draft, if they get lucky and they get a center in the draft, they might have 2 more options here. One, if you get lucky, you get Jake Slaughter, great. He's probably going to be inserted week 1. If Connor Lew slips, then your thought process is I'm gonna draft Connor Lew, I'm gonna stash him on NFI for a year, I'm gonna get him integrated into our system, and in 2027 he's gonna be our starter. Cade Mays is now a guard, right guard. Am I speaking sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is that making sense?
Yeah. I think everything's on the table for the Lions right now. I don't think they want to move Penei to the left, but that's a great option if you get to 17 and the only thing left are right tackles.
Thomas Bates says, God is watching you, Will. Is that because my lights are going on and off? You know what's funny? Well, this is not football related, but when I was a kid, we had this street lights, right? Yeah, just normal, upper middle class kid growing up in Wyoming, Michigan. And street lights in front of my house, there was one that never came on. And every time I came outside, it turned on. Like, as I'm walking down the road, I would always look up at that light and it would go, I'm on. And I always looked at it because it just drove me nuts. Like, why is that light not turning on until I look at it? Or if I'm outside, I notice that it's turning on. And I lived there for, my whole childhood. So you're talking 16, I moved out when I was 17, 16 years. That light did the same damn thing. You would think the city of Wyoming would have fixed the light bulb at some point, right? If there was something wrong with it. And then when I moved somewhere else later on in my life, the same damn thing happened. Another street light near my house never came on, but every time I drove underneath it or every time I walked by it, it turned on. It's kind of weird. So people kept telling me that's that FBI light. That that's where they've got their cameras installed and they're watching the neighborhoods and the big eagle eye or whatever they call it. Watching all the people. So I don't know. Take it as you will. Just kind of weird. It's kind of weird. But anyway, I hope I'm talking sense here. So initially, my initial research on Cade Mays tells me that if he didn't start in 24, was waived, bounced around, came back, only has, about 17 games underneath, or about 23, 24 games, whatever it is, underneath his belt. No sacks at center. That's not a lot of time for a player that has never played center before until 24. He played it one game in college and then transitioned to center with the Panthers. Now, Bryce Young had his better season last year, right, with Cade Mays. So there's something to that. I think that Brad is ultra sneaky, and this whole offensive line is fluid right now. I don't think anybody has a position. I think they're going in and they're just going to put everybody through the gauntlet, and they're going to figure out who's the best at what they do and where they do it. And that's how they're going to build this offensive line, which leaves the draft wide open. And so we know that Brad Holmes loves to do one thing. Every year for the draft, he wants to walk into that draft knowing that he has free reign to take any player that he wants, that he's not forced to take a player or a position, I should say. So keep your eyes on that. You heard it here first. I should probably clip that. Let me write that down, 137-ish. We'll clip that. We'll save that for later, in case that's right. But anyway, getting back into the Cade Mays diagnosis here. One game in college, transitioned to center in the NFL. Feels that he has a long way to go. Well, clearly, now that I understand why he said that. At the Senior Bowl, he had a little bit of conversation with Hank, nothing out of the ordinary, so the Lions weren't necessarily grooming him back then to be a draft pick. Why the Lions? Well, he feels that it's his brand of football, that he fits what they do, and they fit what he does. I think that's a great statement. Of course, he noted the grit. He loves Dan Campbell, or appreciates Dan Campbell, is a big reason why that he came here to Detroit. And then he also gave another thing away. He said that he loves to move players vertically, and that he loves duo. So that tells me, at least right now, I mean, every team kind of does duo, but that tells me that the Lions are going to be power football, which we would expect, just like the same workup I did on Drew Petzing, the gap style scheme. They'll still have some outside zone stuff, but that gap style scheme, I mean, you're moving bodies, you're going more vertical versus lateral or horizontal, and you do get, the pin and pull, the power run game is, you're down blocking quite a bit. So I like that. I like that style, that brand of football. It's that tough nose. It's man on man. It's hat on hat. You got to win your one-on-one, and then Gibbs just has to beat one guy. And I like those odds. So you might have just given away, what the Lions are going to be doing scheme-wise. Not on purpose, but, and it could be a bunch of nothing too. But I'm sure they're going to stick with duo. I mean, again, every team does. That's not breaking news. He was asked about playing all the different positions, and it was another great answer about getting a perspective from every angle, right? Every position, you get a different understanding of what every position needs to do, how they need to win. And that helps a center become a better center when you understand what the left tackle's assignment is, the right tackle's assignment, left guard, right guard. You understand what their assignments are, and then being able to communicate that and get everybody on the same page, not only in the huddle, but as well as on the field in between plays. You get a very short window to call out your protections and schemes and blocking assignments. Thing just blinked again.
Gremlins.
Oh, it's like maybe I have a frequency that's running. Okay, mutual friends with Tate Ratledge. They're not friends per se prior to showing up here because he went to Georgia. Tate, they kind of ships passing in the dark, but they have mutual friends, so that's a good thing. Was friends with Hendon Hooker, but nothing really spoken of about Detroit. Frank Ragnow obviously believes he's a hell of a football player, loved his tape, studied his game, modeled his game after him. So that's another feather in the cap there for a guy that, a lot of people love what Frank Ragnow did. He's one of the best centers in the league ever. No sacks in 2 years, man. That's great. I don't care what position you're at. That's great. So I've got high hopes for the guy, but I don't have full confidence right now that he's a starting center. Pacheco's up next.
Don't you think they paid him like a starting center, though?
I think they paid him like a really good offensive lineman. $8 million that's really good offensive lineman and versatility from the offensive lineman position. Am I in the wrong one again? I am.
Mackinac Bridge is closed again.
Oh, the winds are crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's the third time in 2 days. They closed it yesterday afternoon. It was open for 30 minutes and they closed it back down.
What in the world? Where's the scene that I was just in? Where did it go? I got to spend 20 minutes today getting this all fixed. Be right back. I got to get this fixed right now.
Okay.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap, back looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down.
Hell yeah. It feels sweet up here.
So let's welcome to town. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Let's just start. Why Detroit? Why'd you feel like this was a fit for you and your running style?
Yes, it was a great opportunity. Me and my agent sat down and talked. And, you know, the position we've been in, through the run, the stretch, it's been on the way, but knowing the mentality that the aggression I bring, the finding who I'm going to play for next that could accommodate that, and coach and the staff here, the Ford family, they believed in me and gave me the opportunity to give 110% here, and I'm going to show y'all the real 10 is back.
The combination of Sonic and Knuckles that have been successful the last few years here, man. Some people might look at that as pressure coming in and that, but how are you looking at it coming in off this tandem being so successful when you having a chance to follow up and build your own kind of legacy here with Jahmyr as well?
Yes, definitely. Jahmyr, one hell of a player. Hats off to him and the guys. They've been putting in work here for a couple years now, and me just looking outside in, just hell of a group, and whatever I can do to contribute to the team, it's going to happen. And whether it's punting the ball, wherever's at, don't matter where I'm at on the field, cheering the guys on, bringing excitement to the team and bringing the leadership accountability. Been two-time champ. Not satisfied though. That's something that I'm not satisfied with. I'm more hungry than I ever was, and I'm ready to get to work.
The last 2 seasons, as you had such a strong start to your career. How much did the broken leg kind of sap your calling cards and speed and power, and how much do you feel like you can get back to the player you were before that injury?
Yes, definitely. Definitely was a crazy experience going through that. Never broke a bone like to that extreme, but it was definitely a major comeback, and just having the mindset of winning a day every day. It's coming in the building, winning a day to get back, to get next to the guys, show them that I'm in the building. When you're injured, you're out of the building. Just being around the guys, showing them that I'm there. So when I did step back foot on the field, it wasn't like I was missing. Yes, it could slow you down, but having that mentality of a dog and, unsatisfied is important when it comes to this, because you could get really comfortable with the circumstances, and for me, just unsatisfied, and to get back to you with the Sonic and they could call me Taz. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna spin, jump, whatever I could do to get the first down, to combinate Jahmyr, and we're fast. We got speed, and they can't sleep on it.
want to go back to the Super Bowls. How do you feel like you're a different player? Like, how did that shape your perspective? Like, coming into this building now, just what are you able to kind of share with guys just from that experience? And how do you think that makes you a better teammate, better leader?
Yes. So coming in from the day one, setting the standard. That's the main thing. Coming in here and setting the standard and accountability. Got guys that work different around the building. Me, I'm gonna set a standard, coming in 110%, and that's important when you got someone that's new coming in the building. You observe them. And as players, you will observe. When I was in another team and seeing players that come in, we observed them as players, and that's who you figure out who you're going to go to war with. For me, set the first and the best impression. I'm hungry, and I want to win it here, not nowhere else.
Are you a type of guy that is fueled by people doubting you? I mean, obviously, Kansas City decided to go a different direction. You were drafted where you were drafted. Like, are you a guy that kind of internalizes that and turns it into the product on the field?
Yes, absolutely. I've been through adversity my whole life, so just adding fuel to the fire will help me win the day. Today was a roller coaster, but the staff, everybody, they showed me around the building. I'm very blessed and thankful to have them in my corner. They just made it so much easier for me today to come in here and get ready for you guys as well, and most importantly, just finding that mentality in every player, that DNA is the win.
Yeah, you mentioned Dan. What have your initial conversations with him been like, and how do you feel like you guys kind of mirror each other?
Oh man, our first conversation, I was screaming on the phone. Let's go! I'm ready to go. Put me in. He's like, oh yeah, Pacheco, what number are you going? Are you going with 10? Right. Let's go. I'm on my way. I'm coming home. So that was the whole adrenaline during the call, and I just couldn't thank them enough for just thinking of me. There was a lot of teams. I had 8 opportunities to go to different teams. Kansas City was one of them, but once they made that move, I know that I had to look forward to opening up the doors to going somewhere else, and this was the first place I thought of. My father's a Leo, he's a Lion, so we're going far, baby.
Can you explain a little bit more? I mean, we've seen it from afar, for your whole career, but that violent rushing style, like, where does it come from?
Yes, that violent rushing style comes from being unsatisfied. Going out there on the field is never going to know when your last play. Going out there, making that play for your teammate will show them that you care about them, and vice versa. When you got a wide receiver blocking down the field, as a running back, you love that because when you get the opportunity to block for him, you're going to finish everything and in the way to help him get positive yardage. So that just comes with the mentality of being accountable to each other.
What does football mean to you?
Football is my heart. I love it. I bleed it. I die for this. It sounds crazy, but I love it to that much, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else besides here on this day and with this new family. We got something to prove, and we're going to write the story.
Do you got any connections on this roster? Any guys that
Yes.
you know from college or pros?
Yes, one of the guys today that was signing today is Christian Izzian, which is one of my former teammates from Rutgers, and Kirby Joseph, Jameer, Ja, St. Brown's, Golf, hit me up. That was I'm on my way here, and Golf texted me, gave me a shot, and he's like, hey, brother, I'm glad to have you a part of the team. I can't wait to get to work. And I'm like, right there, bro, let's do it. Let's set the standard. Day one, I'm excited to get to work with you. And I just can't wait to block my ass off for him, man. And I know the O-line is showing what type of player I am. It starts at practice first.
Maybe this ties into what Justin asked earlier about the injuries, but you said early on the real 10. You want to show everybody the real 10 is back. What happened to the real 10 the last 2 years?
Yes, through opportunities, you make the best of them. I can't only control what I control. If I'm only getting 100 carries, I'm getting 100. If I'm getting 20, I'm getting 20. I control what I control. Keep the same mentality every day in the building. Go in there smiling. get guys going and make sure the team we're heading in the right direction. As a leader, being on time to those leadership council meetings, either if I was to start or not starting, it didn't matter. If my name was on that board, I was in there in that meeting on time and wherever I had to be to set the standard in the room for the younger guys.
You mentioned, the success you obviously enjoyed in Kansas City. This team's been close for a couple of years. How close do you think this team is to maybe enjoying some of that, and how much a part of your decision was that?
Yes, watching from afar, very close, and just being a player and a teammate. I'm not a father, but one day, and just being someone that they could look forward to and count on, and look to the left and right and know that he got my back. And that's the type of player I am. And for everybody in the building, we're going to win together. That's what it's all about, together, doing everything together.
You did face this team a couple times in KC. What was your impression, I guess, of them?
Oh, the impression of them, they had some big boys on that line. Damn, every time I seen those line, I'm just sitting back like, they're all like 7 foot. I'm like, damn, who their dads? So I'm like, as a younger guy, you get to be around, some special guys, and everybody has a different mentalities. And, for me as a younger guy that's still growing and willing to learn, just mindful of, I'm all ears open and I'm willing to learn.
What do you feel like a new start, a new beginning, just like this new situation can do for you? Do you feel rejuvenated in a sense at all? Or?
Absolutely. I felt wanted, and now is the time. Well, it was the time to to build off of the previous years. You're gonna have doubters. It comes with it. It's how you perform and how you react, and I know that I'm willing to give it all, 110%, and it's what I love to do.
You look back on your time in KC, obviously you had a lot of success there. I don't know how it ended, but, just how do you sort of look back at the last 4 years?
Oh, I love every single one of those coaches in the building, players, EQ. It goes down the line. Like, everyone treated me like you would want to get treated in the building. And that's what brotherhood was about. And just coming from that, reflecting on them, and just bringing something to my life as a player, maybe a father one day, and just knowing that whatever you do it all 100%. You got guys, you build friends off of the leadership. You know what I mean? When you're accountable, you could bring a whole team with you. And that's what it takes to bring the whole team.
Just curious, you brought up the blocking for Jared. We see some of the numbers there. It looks, like you're pretty strong in that department. Where does that mindset come from? Is that something you came from college with, or is that something that came and was developed at the pros?
Yes, it's something I came from college with. Coming from high school, playing quarterback, going into college, playing running back, that was the most important part of my game I had to build at, was blocking. Because you quarterback, you're dropping back all day long. You're not making blocks. And that was the main goal, figuring out a way to get down there, put my chin in the guy under his chin strap, and hold him up. And as the years go on, getting better and better, every camp, it's where you let the dog out, and that's where you get after each other. You iron sharpen iron in camp, and that's where the magic happens.
What kind of quarterback were you?
Last one.
Running? I mean,
I was a running, throwing quarterback. I rushed for 1,100 yards this quarter. That's a lot of running. A lot of running, 500 passing yards, not that much, but
at that,
yes,
even playing that position.
Yes, my high school coach Russo always told me, A10, well, I was in 10 at the time, I was number 1. A1, be smart, run out of bounds. You don't need to take those extra hits, because I was always just wanted to crush somebody, just wanted to crush them. But as the years go on, you gotta get smarter about it, and most importantly, have fun.
Wow, he's a ball of energy, isn't he?
Yes.
He's fun. I love the energy. I love the mentality that he said about 50 times. What's your initial take?
I like that he said he's a willing blocker, and he talked about blocking a lot. And that's something that David Montgomery sometimes wasn't the best at. So, and Jahmyr Gibbs sometimes isn't the best at. Having a willing blocker like Isaiah Pacheco is awesome. Isaiah Pacheco has a couple of Super Bowl rings. So the guy knows how to get it done. And we got him on the cheap because he was injured the last couple of seasons. But he's had really good success in the NFL in a shared backfield for the Kansas City Chiefs. So now that he's healthy, at least we assume that he's healthy, I think that there is no reason that he does not have good success with our team here in Detroit in a shared backfield with Jahmyr Gibbs. And he may be a great third down back because this kid's willing to go in there and put his nose in the dirt and do some blocking for Jared Goff so he doesn't get sacked on third down every time.
Well, I think that there's always an emphasis on this Lions team, and it surrounds around two very important components to playing football. I don't know why I've got to till this thing up here. There's two very important components to football that every team needs to be extremely good at. Can you take a guess at what those two things are in the chat? Let me know what you think are the two most important things that all teams have to do at all positions. And we'll come back to that in about 15 seconds. I got a lot of notes. He was asked about Gibbs, and there goes that damn light again.
Aha.
He was asked about Gibbs. All right, let me just unplug it.
Oh, the gremlins are hard at work today. They're getting it done. Oh, I just figured something out. You guys are all saying happy 313 day because you're from down in the 313 area code, and today is 313. So I just put 2 and 2 together. Why everybody was saying that.
Might have a bad ballast or something. It's one of my softbox lights. So anyway, he was asked about the run game, asked about Gibbs, and immediately he says he wants to be a contributor. You know, no matter what, you know, he wants to help out the room, no matter what it is. And to skip forward to a little bit of what he was talking about, it was, you know, I don't care about carries. I'm going to bring the same energy every day. I'll control what I can control. And that is, you know, whether he's a starter, whether he's on the board, it doesn't matter. But starting the day with the same energy and being a leader. And that's exactly the type of players that we need on this team, which go back to 23, go back to 24. Again, Dan said he wanted to get back to bringing in the same type of energy again, doing the same things that they were doing back then, which was competition. They made everybody compete. There was no more just giving you a position. And I kind of feel the last couple of seasons, it's not an excuse for our losses because I'll put more on the injuries than anything. I feel like players were just kind of given a position. Not saying that they didn't have to fight for it in camp. I'm not saying any of that, but I feel to a lesser degree, 24 and 25 was not the same as 22 and 23. It just wasn't. It wasn't from a competition perspective, if you will. I feel like the players, if we go in and we're to dissect the players that we brought in, I think to a lesser degree was their competition. So more so about this Gibbs thing and blending in the room. Did you take this as a slight? You know, where at the later, you know, 3/4 of his statement that he talks about being a 2-time champ. Do you think that was a little bit of a slight, you know, where he's being asked on how he's going to help Gibbs, how he's going to fit into Gibbs' room, and then he gets through a little bit and he says, you know, but I'm a 2-time champ. And then he quickly recovers, and I'm not trying to put words in his mouth. I'm not trying to say he meant it in any certain way, but then he quickly says, but I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied. And I think that's the perfect attitude to have. Yeah, you've got 2. Let's go get a third. Do you feel that there was any slight in there at all that as to why he mentioned that?
But when you're a Super Bowl champion, especially a 2-time champion, and they went, 3 out of his 4 seasons to the Super Bowl, you're going to get not full of yourself, not an attitude, but you're going to have confidence. And it's going to be well-deserved confidence when 3 out of 4 years you go to the Super Bowl and you win 2 of them. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of confidence. So I think it's a good confidence. I don't think it's a cocky confidence. Like, I don't know. Trying to think of a player. There's been lots of players, but once they win a Super Bowl, they just think they're the king of the world and they deserve to win it every year. This kid doesn't seem like he's one that's thinking that everything's going to be handed to him just because he won 2 Super Bowls. I think he'll be happy with whatever role he gets, but he's also going to be someone that everyone can go to and be like, hey, you won a couple Super Bowls. How did you do it? And he did it by being unselfish. So having confidence is a great thing. Being a little bit cocky is okay, but being over cocky just because you won a couple of Super Bowls would be unacceptable. But I think they've vetted him enough to know that this kid isn't going to just come in with some cocky attitude. And he didn't seem to.
No, he didn't. He didn't. And so I'm glad that we're in agreement. There was no slight there. So he had the broken leg, right? And then that does explain a little bit as to why he was less productive over the last couple of seasons. And, it just fits right into the research that I did, a few weeks back where, when you come back from a major catastrophic injury, such as that, yeah, you're going to have some difficulty, but especially for a running back, your legs are everything, right? So, but he mentions he's fast. And so that's good, right? If he's back to his playing speed, that's great. He mentions how he wants to complement Jahmyr Gibbs. So he's coming in understanding, look, I know I'm not the number 1. All right. I know that I have a role to fill. I got some big shoes to fill with David Montgomery. And that he's coming in to do just that. I'm going to come back to the blocking in just a second because I think that is a very critical piece here. But day one, what is he day one? Who is he day one? He says that he wants to set the standard and the accountability. He wants to be the same, he's doing the same 110% of the time. The importance for new players. I thought that this was an amazing statement by him where he mentions observance. When new players come into the building, whether he was in KC, right, and new players come into the building, you're going to observe them. And you're going to figure out who they are. Are they someone that I can trust? Are they someone that's coming in to put the work in? Are they coming in and just kind of walking through, the day, like heads in the clouds? Or are you paying attention, putting the work in, and engaging with everybody, not sticking to your own little, hole in the wall over there in that brand new, beautiful locker room? How hungry are you? And he mentions he wants to win it here. He's mentioned that he's been through adversity his whole life, that it's more fuel to his fire to come in with a chip. He's blessed. He's thankful, of course. But he wants to find that right DNA and using that right mentality to win the day. And so fighting back from a broken leg, it was all about winning a day. They call that stacking days, right? Every day is not easy. But if you can just win the day somehow, I simply start by making my bed every morning. I've already won the day. I did something. That's an old military mindset. You got to get up and you've got to accomplish one thing before you even brush your teeth. And maybe brushing your teeth is an accomplishment. I don't know. But for me, it's making my bed, picking up my messes, taking care of everything. I love the energy by him, especially when he starts talking about Dan Campbell. And that's where the F-bombs started to come in. I counted 3 F-bombs and 3 shits out of them.
Yeah.
So screaming into the mic or screaming into the phone with Dan Campbell. He had 8 other opportunities, which I think should let people know that this is not a back that was forgotten about. I mean, a third, a quarter of the league wanted to bring him in, including Kansas City wanted to keep him. He's a New Jersey kid. He says he's coming back home or whatever, but yeah, Michigan's not home. He's a New Jersey kid. He has a violent style to his game. And I like where he mentions, back in high school, my coach is, telling me to, run out of bounds, don't lower the shoulder, save yourself, don't take all these hits, but that's just not his mentality. He's far from being satisfied with where he is. He wants to be accountable for each other. When he says that we're going to win it together, that, football is his heart, he'll die for it. Sounds like Ahmed Hassanin. But we've got something to prove as a team, and we will write the story. I love that. Has some friendships already in the building. He mentioned Kirby Joseph. He mentioned Ja. Said that Jared Goff reached out to him right away. I'm not sure what I wrote here. Can't wait to be back. I'm not sure what that means. But the real 10 is back. Maybe that's what he was talking about. The real 10 is back, and the real 10 is who he was 3 years ago. When he was a pretty powerful running back, was on everybody's fantasy leagues. And so, asked about how the Lions are close to winning a championship, he says very close. I think he was very patient with his word selection and not saying that we're going to go win a Super Bowl, because then he put a hex on the whole damn thing, and players try to stay away from that. They want to prove it. They don't want to talk about it. It's less talk. It's time to do. But he wants to win it together. He's very thankful of the organization and everyone that's helped him, get into the building, navigate the building, get ready for the press. And then there was this last thing, or one of the last things, where he says he's still growing, he's still willing to learn, and that he's all ears. I was always told at a young age that God gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Unfortunately, I don't exercise that enough when I'm on the microphone, because I can't. But I'm a patient listener too. And I try to listen and sponge off of everybody that's more intelligent than me. And I'm willing to accept that. And it sounds like Isaiah Pacheco, or Isaiah Pacheco. I don't know how you pronounce his first name. I don't know if it's Isaiah or Isaiah or Isaiah because of the way it's spelled. Isiah, not the other way around. So earlier I asked you, what are the 2 most important things that every team needs to do and do right? Eric, what do you think it is?
Get to the quarterback on defense and protect your quarterback on offense.
I would disagree. I think the 2 most important things are blocking. Right? As an offensive player, it's blocking. And there's 2 requisites in Detroit, is blocking. So it kind of fits, but it kind of fits what you're saying about Jared Goff, is blocking, right? And blocking for Jared, blocking for the other running backs, blocking for your receivers. That's what he's going to do. And on the other side of the football, it's, I guess you could say getting after the quarterback, but I would say it's more so being able to tackle and not missing tackles, putting yourself in a position to win. And so whether you're blocking as a running back for Jared Goff, or you're blocking as a running back for Jahmyr Gibbs, or you're blocking downfield as a running back for Jameson Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're putting yourself in a position to win. Because without that, without freeing up your teammate, well, you may not get the yardage that you need on that play to continue moving the ball downfield. And then on defense, playing smart and putting yourself in a position to win, it means that your geometry is right, your angles are right, and that you're going to wrap up and tackle. Getting to the quarterback, I think, is important too, but to a lesser degree. I think that there's 3 other things that you can do, or 4 other things that you can do that probably have a better outcome. Unless you can get 10 sacks a game, which doesn't ever happen. So that's really it, man. I think that Isaiah Pacheco is a great pickup. I think he's a very unique individual, and I think that he's going to give us a lot of opportunity. You mentioned earlier about being a third down guy, and I haven't gone all the way back to 2023 yet to watch any of the tape, but I am going to go rewatch the Lions tape at a minimum and see, where he was utilized. But a few things that I had read were that, Mahomes took a lot of his carries away because Mahomes didn't hand the ball off. He ran the ball a lot back then, more so than he is now. And so he didn't get a lot of opportunity to run the football in short yardage situations. And that could be an opportunity for him here. I think any way you slice the pie, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get just as much opportunity as anybody else. And quite honestly, I love Jahmyr Gibbs at the 5-yard line taking an outside zone, or taking that steep angle towards the pylon because he outpaces everybody. You can't catch him. If he breaks the corner and he's got one man to beat, you're not beating him. Whereas David Montgomery has to go through the middle of the offensive line because he doesn't have breakaway speed. So that's the biggest difference between a Jahmyr Gibbs and a David Montgomery at the goal line. And Isaiah Pacheco has speed. He has a lot of speed, just like Jahmyr Gibbs does. But the blocking, it's important. And I want to show you just a couple of grades here. Where are we at on time?
I got about 5 minutes left.
Time is it? Oh shit! It's almost 11 already. Jeez. Oh,
yeah, we started late today though.
Yeah. All right. So here's his grades. Let's see if I can make this a little bigger. Okay, so there you go. Last season, right? This is 2025 regular season blocking for Isaiah Pacheco, which, by the way, weighs in at 5'10", 216. That's a lot of weight for that compact body that has speed. 7th round pick, so you do get lucky every once in a while. Look at those pass blocking grades. That's better than Penei Sewell. 75.3, 83.2. I mean, he had a nothing burger in week 3. 67.2. What was week 3? What was week 3? We were week 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He had a 73 against us. Look at his grades, man. He's got 2 bad games in the first 7 weeks, and that's it. A 67.2 overall pass blocking grade. Run blocking, he's a straight 60. I don't know how the hell that happens. That doesn't make any sense at all. I guess it does if you're not running a 2-back system. And I don't know how you're going to give someone a straight 60 and then you tighten their score all the way down to the 50s. This is why you don't trust PFF, because no one is going to get a perfect 60 in every game. And that score is pulling down his overall offensive blocking grade. All I care about here is the pass blocking grade. I don't care about run block, and I don't care about overall offense. I care about the pass block, and that is a damn good grade. Where was David Montgomery in this conversation? Let's take a look.
Oh, there you go. Typing too fast.
I got my keyboard up in a weird situation right now. Okay. See, he didn't get straight 60s every game. But there you go. David Montgomery through the first 6 weeks had better grades.
But look at
and then
it's all 60s.
Yeah, that's run block.
Yeah, but still there's something up with PFF because look at all those were 60s.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, he's got a 57.8. He's got a 57.8 in there, which is the anomaly. But through the first 5 weeks of the 6 weeks of the season, those grades are better than Pacheco. Here, let me do this. Let me duplicate. And let me go back to Isaiah Pacheco. Let's see how close we are. So week 1, 75.3 for Isaiah. Week 1, nothing for David. 79. In week 2, 83.2 for Pacheco. Week 4 or week 3, 78.1. Week 3, he had a bad game. Week 4, 75.7 for David. Week 4, 67.2 for Isaiah. Week 5, 82.8 for David. 76.5 for Isaiah. Week 6, 80.9 for David. 73 for Isaiah. Week 7, 43 for Isaiah. 22.1 for David. Week 9, after the week 8 bye, 29.5 for David. Week 8, 77.9 for Isaiah.
And the rest of them green.
Yeah, week 10, 58.5 for David. Looks like there's a few games missed here, but we'll go 77.5 for Isaiah. Week 11, 58.5, 65.8. Week 11, 30.5, nothing there, 71.4. Overall, 58 for David, 67.2 for Isaiah Pacheco. So overall, you're getting a player that has about a 15 to 18% better blocking percentage than what David Montgomery had, and more speed. David Montgomery measures in at 5'11", 224, so he has 1 inch and about 10 pounds or 1 inch and 8 pounds on Isaiah Pacheco, but the difference is the speed.
Yeah. Now, is there a snap count on there to tell you how many snaps he took versus David last season?
Yeah, 1 sec. Total offensive snap counts, or you want the blocking snap counts?
Yeah, like the blocking snap counts.
All right, so David Montgomery had 64 blocking snap counts overall. 52 were pass block. Where is it at? Here we go. Pacheco had 49 blocking attempts, 29 in pass, 20 against the run. David had 52 against the pass, 12 against the run. So David had more pass blocking attempts. Isaiah Pacheco had less pass blocking attempts, but a much higher standard of grade. In 2024, his number was a 79.4, which is 12 points higher than last year. David Montgomery's score in 2024 was a 45.3. In 22 was a 41.5. In 22 was a 57.4. He doesn't have one green score until you go all the way back to 2021. The difference for Isaiah Pacheco is he has a green score, an elite score, and then a yellow, and then a red as a rookie, which you would expect. David Montgomery had reds just 3 seasons ago. 2 of them in a row, actually, 24 and 23. So over the last 4 years, David Montgomery has averaged about a straight 48% or 48 grade in pass blocking, whereas Isaiah Pacheco has averaged about a 70.
Wow.
That's a huge difference. Now it has to, show up on the field. So, Eric, give us your final 30 of the day.
Well, I had something interesting I wanted to bring up right before we go.
Go ahead.
So the Denver Broncos have not signed a single person other than their own in free agency this year. So I wanted to go to one of their, let me see if I can find it again. One of these Denver Bronco fan groups, because I wanted to see what they were saying about their team after just winning, making it to the AFC Championship game. I didn't know what to expect in free agency, but it sure wasn't this. This is a major part of improving a roster. We were so bad last year. Simple minds think in simple terms. We weren't bad. I never said that. However, if you think we don't need to get better, then you're the one with a simple mind. So I'm telling you right now, it's not just Lions fans. I think it's every team gets frustrated. And
that's one example though.
Yeah, but what does every fan base want this time of year? They want to win free agency. Everyone does, because there's no games right now. There's nothing to win right now.
Brad has told you from day one, we are never going to win headlines in March.
Yeah.
Or April.
Yeah. So that stuff doesn't work. What Brad's doing is going to work. Just give it some time. Have some patience. Be fans. Have fun. But let's be nice to each other also. And I'll see you guys on Monday.
Are you back Monday? I thought you were off Monday.
Back Monday and Tuesday. Maybe Tuesday. But and then off the rest of the week.
All right.
I got that rock show.
Yeah, just let me know over the weekend, but we'll plan on seeing you on Monday.
Okay. Monday
buddy.
for sure.
All right. Take care, man. Have a good day.
Guys.
We'll see you. All right. So not attempting here to discredit David Montgomery or what he's done for Detroit while he's been here, but this whole process is we need to evaluate what we had and now what we have, right? That's the exercise. And so when I see things like, what is Brad Holmes doing? Why do we get rid of David Montgomery? And then now we bring in, Isaiah Pacheco. There's nowhere, he's nowhere near the same type of player as David Montgomery or whatever the case may be. That's just not accurate. We don't know exactly what Isaiah Pacheco is going to turn out to be. But, I think a lot of us had probably said the same thing about David Montgomery. We had no idea what he was going to be. When he came into Detroit, there was one glaring thing that I noticed about his stats that I was not impressed with, and that was how many fumbles he had. Between 2019 and 2022, see if I can find it real quick. Where's his fumbles at? I don't know why it doesn't show up in there. Maybe it's in rushing. Come on. PFF is just terrible when you're trying to find something quick. All right, hold on. The one thing that I noticed about David Montgomery, like I was saying, were the amount of fumbles that he had. I want to say that the number was 6. Prior to coming into Detroit. And now I think he has a total of 12. And everyone kept telling me that David's not going to fumble the football and that, he's a much better football player than expected. And he was a great football player. He is a great football player. But I was concerned about the fumbles. The more I watched his film, the more I was less inspired by how he toted the rock, how he carried the rock, and some of the ways that he would leave that ball kind of out a little bit too wide when he was doing a spin or if he was, bouncing off somebody. He kind of held that wing out there a little bit too much, and then you get the ball popped out. He wasn't clasping, and he wasn't holding the ball tight when he was going through the line. So in 2019 through 2022, he had 4 fumbles. He ended up with 2 fumbles in every year in Detroit. He left with 6. So he had 6 fumbles in 3 years. He had 4 fumbles in 4 years. So his fumbles got worse in Detroit. He has a total, according to ESPN, of 10 fumbles total. And that's in the running game. In the receiving game, he never lost a fumble in Detroit, but he had 2 more in Chicago. That was the total of 6. So where he had 4 on the ground, he had 2 in the air. He didn't have any, after catching the ball in Detroit, but he had laid 6 on the ground during his 3 years. Let's take a look at Pacheco. I think that's the right thing to do, right? Let's see how well he's carried the rock and protected the rock. All right, so during his time in Kansas City through 4 seasons, he had 4 fumbles. Very similar to David Montgomery. Through the air, he had 0. So in his first 4 years, he had 2 less fumbles than David Montgomery. I mean, that's a 50% improvement, or at least a 33.3% improvement as far as, what he's doing with the ball in his hands. And then the other argument was, okay, well, David Montgomery's, yards per carry versus David Montgomery's yards per carry, you're only going to get 3 yards out of Isaiah Pacheco. Well, we're talking 2 totally different lines. Number one, different schemes, different usage mechanics. Not as many 4th down calls versus, Kansas City Chiefs, not as many 4th down calls as the Lions, which means you have more short yardage situations where you're only trying to get a couple yards. And then on 3rd down, for David Montgomery, we often, if you're at 3rd and 6, 3rd and manageable, the Lions would often go for it, hoping to get at least 2 to 3 yards to make it a 4th and manageable, which is under 3 yards. So the shorter yards carries, that can tend to hurt a back's overall numbers. But let's forget all of that, okay? Because Pacheco hasn't played in Detroit yet, so we don't know what's going to happen on the 3rd and manageables or the 4th and shorts. During his entire career, David Montgomery has averaged 4.1 yards per carry. Anyone care to take a guess at how many yards per carry Isaiah Pacheco has through 4 seasons in Kansas City? Do you think it's more or less? More or less? Probably close, if not more. More. Better pass blocker, better catcher, says Zaxion. I haven't even gotten that far yet. But here's the numbers. Isaiah Pacheco through 4 seasons in Kansas City has averaged 4.4 yards a carry. He's 131 first downs. David Montgomery, I'm going to have to do some math. Excuse me. Oh, move my whole screen. David Montgomery, since we have to do the first 4 seasons, and David Montgomery was behind a crap line. We can't even argue that. Chicago had a terrible offensive line. David really blew up in Detroit with his one, the amount of touches and carries and yardage. I mean, everything seemed to get better for him. Through his first 4 seasons, David Montgomery had 210 first downs in Chicago. Isaiah Pacheco had 131, which is a difference of about 89? No, 79. 79 first downs difference. And so when you look at those stats, you're probably like, well, damn, David's way better in short yardage. He may be. Or he may be better at getting first downs, right? Or he may be utilized in more first short and, third and short, fourth and short opportunities when he was in Chicago. The difference is the quarterback. You see, Patrick Mahomes was running for a lot of first downs. Patrick Mahomes was stealing the takes, the carries away from all running backs in Kansas City. So you have to consider that when you look at the stats and take in the whole picture. So again, we don't know what Isaiah Pacheco is going to be in Detroit just yet. We didn't know what David Montgomery was going to be, and it turned out to be pretty good. And I would say that this year we should have a better offensive line, at least on paper right now, than we did last season. Someone mentioned receiving. Through 4 years in Kansas City, Isaiah Pacheco had 105 targets. He caught 88 balls for 554 yards, 6.3 average. Through 4 seasons in Chicago, David Montgomery was fed the rock. He had 35 plus 68 plus 51 plus 40. He had 194 targets, which is 91 more than Pacheco. He had 25, 54, 42, and 34. He had 155 receptions. And he went for 1,240 yards in his first 4 seasons. Isaiah Pacheco only had 105 targets to 88 receptions, but went for 554 yards. The difference is David Montgomery was running for an average of about 8.2 yards per reception, where Pacheco was averaging about 6.3. So clearly, David in Chicago was having a much better opportunity than what Kansas City was giving Pacheco. There was also other running backs on Kansas City's team. And you got to remember, too, that he had a broken leg, right? And for 2 years, he barely played. So we have to keep that into consideration as well. Isaiah Pacheco's amount of games through his first 4 seasons, 24, 34, 38, 51 games. David Montgomery, on the other hand, $60 games. So 9 more games. I could do all the math. I'm not going to do it right now to figure out what the average would have been, but it still wouldn't have been close. David Montgomery was fed the rock way more often than Isaiah Pacheco was. But then it changed, right? So then he gets to Detroit. What happens? Well, David Montgomery only had 16 receptions in his first year in Detroit. Then he had 36, and then last year he had 24, and every single one of those numbers is way, way down compared to his years in Chicago. So over the last 3 seasons, David Montgomery only had 76 receptions on 71 targets. It's not a whole lot, right? And he put up, and we probably should just compare the last 4 years, but we're talking 2 different teams. 650 yards. Now, when you start to compare that to Isaiah Pacheco, it starts to kind of even out a little bit. But the difference is Isaiah Pacheco's last 3 years, he did not play in, 13, 17 games. He missed an entire season's worth of games. 17 games, an entire season's worth of games. So it's really hard to kind of compare these guys as far as who they are, what are they going to do in Detroit, differently or better. Guess what? We're about to find out. We're about to find out. I think at the end of the day, Pacheco's a better blocker. Sure. Will he end up being a better receiver out of the backfield? Will he end up being a better running back? We'll find out. He's healthy. He's a couple years now removed from the broken leg. And I'm having trouble remembering who that other running back was for the Chiefs. I don't know why, but he got a lot of the primary opportunities. Oh, I need this to be a different year. One sec. Jerick McKinnon. That's it. McKinnon. So when he was with the Chiefs, obviously he was going to be your primary McKinnon. He was going to be your primary weapon out of the backfield. Just taking a quick surf here of his stats. In 2023, he had been targeted 32 times, 27 receptions, or 25 receptions, 192 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was your primary back out of the backfield. And in carries wise, he was not your primary running back. He only had played in 12 games with 21 carries in 2023. So we could go through this all day long. I just wanted to kind of give you, paint you a little bit of a picture as to who Isaiah Pacheco is, kind of compared to David Montgomery in a vacuum very, very quickly. And honestly, I see a lot of the same style of back. I think the Pacheco, obviously, in his speed, is going to be a big difference. The Lions obviously are trying to get faster. He runs a 4.37 40. David Montgomery ran a 4.36. Or I'm sorry, Jahmyr Gibbs ran a 4.36. Now, we don't know what he runs today because he suffered that broken leg, but I have a feeling that he's probably fine. Even if he's at a 4.4 or a 4.45, David Montgomery ran a 4.63. That's slow. That is super slow. Amon-Ra St. Brown ran a 4.56. And your running back is slower than that? But he still was successful. But 0.3 of a second is a lot. 3/100ths is not, but 0.3, that's a big difference of twitch and initial burst and all of that, off the line, off the edge, through the line. I mean, it's blurring speed. So David Montgomery, much slower back, similar size, a little bit more heavy, 1 inch taller, potentially a better receiver. But we'll find out. I do know this. You get Isaiah Pacheco out on the outside, you're going to have a hard time catching him. Whereas David Montgomery eventually would get taken down. But we've seen David run for 70 yards and finally get caught from behind. The difference is Isaiah Pacheco won't. Jahmyr Gibbs won't. And so that may give you an extra touchdown or 2 per season. And that could be all the difference in the world of winning a game. But I'm not going to put too much stock into it right now. I mean, we haven't even been to training camp yet. We don't even know what this guy looks like. So we'll see. I just know that we have a great opportunity with Pacheco, and David Montgomery did a lot for this team. So it's all relative, right? It's all relative. All right, anything else on your mind? I haven't seen anything popping today yet. I haven't had any major alerts. Phone's been pretty quiet. which could point to the Lions, looking to that second wave of free agency. They did bring in, Christian Izien. They know that I mentioned yesterday. I did a little breakdown. Check out DetroitFootballJournal.com. If you have not subscribed, please do and get your 6-month subscription. Again, I can't thank all the people that have subscribed. We've got a lot of new followers and subscribers everywhere. And I mean, even added another 60 or 70 to the Twitter that I barely use. I don't see anything popping. But interesting conversation on whether or not the Lions actually brought in their next center in Cade Mays. Or is this just competition? Who's boss? They're sharing stuff of mine. I don't know who this person is. Cleo Elise? No idea who that is. It's like a Lions fan. Cleo. Name sounds familiar. Did I see that Jalen Hawkins went to the Ravens? Oh, you know what's funny? When I was sitting with Corey Besh, Ahmed Hassanin's brother, at the Combine, it was good running into him, and he said that Ahmed Hassanin wanted to wear number 99 this year. Couldn't stand having a number in the 60s. And he said he doesn't care what number it is, as long as it's not in the 60s. And he wanted number 99 back. I said, well, you might be in luck. You might be in luck. So it sounds like Ahmed Hassanin got his number 99 this year, which is great. So congrats to Ahmed Hassanin for getting your number. Now let's do something with it, right? You need to create 99 problems for the offense, man. But not getting a sack shouldn't be one, or missing a sack or missing a tackle better not happen, right? Could get out there and live it up. Have a good season. We're excited for you. Glad that he's healthy. He got it already, K-Biz. He got 99. He got it. All right, anything else on your mind? Did you guys see, I don't know how many people we have in right now. That'll dictate on how much longer I stick in. We got 112 people still surviving with us today. What time is it? 11:26. Let's end the day with another mock. Did a couple of mocks last night. Man, I think that I knocked it out the park with that mock draft last night. One of the last ones that I did. Let me see if I still have the picture of it. I do. Check out this mock draft. Let me get it dialed up here. Now, I did some unique things with it. I guess we can just use this one. I did a couple of trades, and they weren't terrible. They weren't terrible trades, and honestly, they're kind of likely, if you ask me. I mean, of course, I'm going to think that, but I think that they're possible. I guess I should say that. Maybe not likely, but possible. I think they're possible. Got to get rid of some stuff here to make this work. Okay, so last night I took Caden Proctor. And what I did to start, I better pull up my phone because I can't see any of this right now. Oh, now I can. I just got to make it bigger. I took Caden Proctor at pick 29, but I did that by trading back with the Kansas City Chiefs, trading them number 17 overall to move back 12 spots to number 29. And we also received their pick number 74 in the third round and their pick number 109 in the fourth round. It might have been a little rich, but maybe not. Maybe not. Moving from 29 to 17 is a pretty big move. I think pick 74 is absolutely valid. Maybe 109 would have been a little bit later. But if Caden Proctor was available at 29 and you decided to make that trade, you pick up another valuable third round pick that you could then package and move back up into the second. Or you do exactly like what I did. I kept pick 50, and I was able to get Danny Dennis Sutton, Caden Proctor, and Anthony Hill Jr. as my first three picks. But then I made another trade with Buffalo where I sent 2027's third round pick and 2026's fifth round pick, number 155, for pick number 91. So that would have given the Lions 4 picks in the top 91, 5 picks in the top 109. Ended up getting edge LT Overton. So there's 2 edge rushers. And if you remember yesterday, you know, if the Lions decide to stand pat, they don't bring Epinesa, or they don't bring any other low-hanging fruit off the edge, what I see happening in this draft at a minimum is you're looking at 2 players off the edge in the draft, at least 2 linebackers, potentially more, 1 safety, 1 defensive tackle, 1 left tackle, 1 quarterback, and 1 running back. I could see all of those positions happening in this draft. And so I grabbed the left tackle of the future in Caden Proctor. I grabbed an edge that should be able to start on day 1 or very close to. And the linebacker in Anthony Hill that might be one of the better linebackers in this draft. I still have some more work to do on him because he's not even in my top 50. And then the LT Overton, look, that's kind of a pick that I'm okay with. Could have went a different direction there. I'm not 100% sold on LT. I think there's a lot of gaps in his game. Let me pull up some information on LT real quick. So LT coming out of Bama, I mean, he has terrible grades last year. He only played in 483 snaps. He had 5 sacks, 2 hits, 17 hurries, 1 batted ball. His primary alignment was outside the tackle. He's got a really good run stop rate, and that's the biggest reason why I took him. So if you need a guy on first and second down that's going to come in and set that hard edge, that's who you need. Right. And so when you look at a 6'5", 278-pound, big man, Overton, he fits that mold of the next Marcus Davenport style of football player. The big edge, the edge setter, a little bit heavier. He's got 33.25-inch arms, so it's right on the cusp. 33 is the minimum. 33.5 is what I would love to see. But he's got big old mitts, man. 10 and 5/8-inch hands. He's 6'3", so he's not super tall. He's more compact, dense frame. 274 pounds at the combine. But he ran the 40 in 4.87. It's slower than you want for an edge, but his 10-yard split at 1.7 is not crazy bad. I think Aiden Hutchinson ran the 40 in 4.76. And his 10-yard split was 1.62. He ran it in 4.74 in 1.62. So LT Overton, even though he was a bigger edge setter, style of an edge rusher or defensive end, he's not that far off of Aiden. He's 0.13 seconds slower, and he's 0.08 seconds slower in the 10-yard split, which that's not enough, right? That's just not enough for me not to be, excited about the player. It's not that he's going to get faster, but he could get lighter and, quicker and stronger. He could gain a little bit of speed as he gets into better shape. But it's that run stop rate is the reason why, I chose that style of player, because Danny Dennis Sutton, I mean, that's the player that you're looking. That's the player that you're looking to come in and be more of that speed guy. He's got requisite arm length at 33.5. He's 6'6". He's 256. Big mitts at 10 1/8. He ran a 40 in 4.63, so he's faster than Aiden. He ran the 10-yard split, rated the same as Aiden, 1.63, 1.62. He jumped 3.5 inches taller than Aiden. And his broad jump, which the broad is where you get your burst from, right? That first step quickness. He out-jumped Aiden by over a foot. Aiden had a 9.9. Danny Dennis Sutton's a 10.11. And then in the 3-cone drill, Aiden ran it in 6.73. Danny Dennis Sutton ran it in 6.9. So all very close and relative. But if you were to compare Danny Dennis Sutton to Aiden, Danny Dennis Sutton had a better combine. Had a much better combine. And he got elite scores by me. But for some reason, if you go compare those two together, he had a better combine and somehow gets a worse agility score than Aiden. That's why I know PFF is bias, because that doesn't make any sense. If you have a better combine score-wise, agility-wise, then your score should be better than a guy that had worse grades, worse scores. Make it make sense, PFF. You're full of crap. So anyway, Danny Dennis Sutton, requisite everything. And that's your guy that's going to come in and be the other speed guy and the opposite of Aiden. He can also play all 3 downs. But you have a guy like LT Overton that's going to come in on the shorter down and distances to help protect in the run game, especially up on the goal line. He's got a little bit bigger body, shorter, squattier guy that is going to manhandle those guards, when they're doing the twists and stunts. And then he can also play with outside leverage. So then I went to Zaki Wheatley. Now, Zeke Wheatley has been one of my safeties to watch now for a few weeks since the combine. I think it was on Tuesday night, one of the first nights we got there, or maybe it was Wednesday night. I mentioned Zaki Wheatley to watch him rise in the draft. And I mean, he's already risen probably 45, 50 spots since the combine. And he's now overtaken Bud Clark. Wheatley, I think this dude's going to be a stud at the next level. And if you're going to get him in this round at pick 109, I think that's an absolute steal. I really do. He's got great size. Let's take a look at his combine real quick. 6'3". They round up. I think his actual height was closer to 6'2.5", 203 pounds, 31-inch arms, which for a safety, that's fine. 9.5-inch hands. He didn't do a 40, which has me concerned. So we got to pay attention to Penn State's pro day. His vertical was 32.5 inches. That's a little bit light for me. We're talking a 4th-round pick. And broad jump at 10'2", which means he's got some burst. I would love to see that vertical north of 36, 37 inches. It's not as explosive, but he's a direct comp to Cam Curl. And I think that we can all agree that Cameron Curl is a pretty damn good safety. So if he ends up being a Cameron Curl, I'm good with that. And I'm definitely good with that at pick 109. And then there's Caleb Proctor. So you bring in, the brothers home onto the same team. But Zaki Wheatley, if you look at his previous stats, his 82.7 run defense grade, his 83.5 coverage grade, those are elite. Elite. Forced incompletion rate 10% of the time. He does have a little higher missed tackle rate at 11.5. I think some of that's going to get cleaned up in the scheme. But there's one number. There's one number that I pay attention to that I need to find real quick. And that is his passer rating against. His grades last year were out of the ballpark great. Let me let me go to a different screen. So Zaki Wheatley with an 85.9 overall is elite. 83.5 coverage grade is elite. Pass rush grade is solid at 70 or 69.8, and his run defense grade is off the charts. So all those things tell me that he is a Dan Campbell guy all the way. This is the number that really got me excited. And it marries up to the tape too. 69.2 passer rating when targeted. He's barely allowing a 70% passer rating when targeted. He chipped in 4 pressures, 1 pass breakup, only allowed 7 receptions on the entire season. The 11 missed tackles he has to clean up. The 23 stops in the run game is impressive. He didn't have any forced fumbles. I need more production, that way. He may not be a ball hawker just yet, but if he can learn how to peanut punch, then we'll be good. Let's go back to 24. What did he do in 24? Well, look at that. Sorry, I didn't move. His grades still remain pretty good. 86.1 in run defense. He was better in 24 than he was in 25 against the run. And overall 72.3 and 64.2 in coverage. You really can't ask for anything better than that from a 4th round draft pick. And those measurables, those scores are going to be better than a lot of your players are up in the 2nd round, 1st round. So seeing that consistency and seeing how all of his games are in the green except for one against Indiana, these are the games to go watch. You go watch the Indiana tape and you watch the Michigan State tape. You go see why he had a bad game. And then you're going to go and compare that to the Northwestern tape. You're going to compare that to the Villanova tape. You're going to compare that to the FIU tape. And see, well, why were those games so good? Oregon, another great game for him and a great team last year. He had a great game. So you got to compare the best to the worst. And then Ohio State, one of the best teams in the conference or in the entire FBS last year, 72.8, one of his better games of the year. So, yeah, he had a laydown game against Indiana and Michigan State, but why? And why, against 3 other really great colleges, Iowa, Northwestern, and Ohio or Oregon, why did he have an extremely good game in those games in 2025? 2024, again, a lot of green. He had a couple of bad games. Oregon that year got him. There's Boise. Is that Boise State? I think it's Boise right there. Notre Dame, he had an incredible game, and that team in 2024 was insanely good. Ohio State, again, had a really good game against them in 2024. UCLA had a phenomenal game against them. But he had a few games where he struggled a little bit. And those are against some no-name schools, except for Illinois. So when I look at all this stuff and I'm trying to figure out who this player is, I see consistency. I see a player that's showing up. Look at that. Ohio State again. He locks Ohio State down. Michigan, he had a bad game. Michigan State, he had a bad game. Rutgers, he had a bad game. Well, bad by score-wise. It may not have been a bad game. It could just be the way that it was graded. But I see a player that is consistent, is what I see. J-Rod, what's going on? I see you mentioned my son. Is he in the chat? I didn't see him. Because I haven't been looking at the chat in a minute. So anyway, I guess back to my next pick, which was Caleb Proctor. Brother of Caden Proctor. This dude pops on the tape, man. And at 6'3", 280 pounds, this is another requisite length, size, big edge with pass rush upside. Big time pass rush upside. Let's take a look. .85 overall last season, 90.4 in the pass rush. 90.4. Now his run defense grade, 74.2. You would think that that's really good, and it is. But look how many defensive linemen there are in college. 888. And he finished as the 9th best overall defensive lineman in the season, or out of the season last year, and the 3rd best defensive lineman in the pass rush. 226th against the run, but that is a phenomenal grade. Where did he have success? Which teams did they go up against? Because this is a team that you have to weigh the type of competition that he has, and not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of competition here. Which means he out-muscled, out-manned, out-hustled everybody in this conference. All green in 2024. He missed a few games there. I'm not sure why. Let's go back to 23. Again, all fairly decent games. I mean, yellow's not where you really want to be, but as a freshman, he's doing good. He missed a few games at the end of the season. Again, not sure why. Looks like those could be bowl game weeks. Maybe there's only 12 games in the season, I think. So those could be all bowl games. Maybe he didn't really miss any games at all. But look at these grades, man. Again, in 2024, let's take a look. 79 against the run, finished 121st. 68 against the pass, finished 166th. Overall, finished 82nd. That's phenomenal. 23, still all green. Finishing in the better half of all of the defensive line players in the country. Now, as a true freshman, he didn't have the greatest of seasons, and I can excuse that and accept that. We'll go back and look at the tape and see how he grew. I think that's the most important thing. All right, got to see how he grew. Now, Caleb Proctor, you know, when you talk about his combine performance, I don't remember seeing him there. I'm sure he was there. We had a rough day on Edge Day. Eric was sick. But he measured it at 6'2", so he's a little bit lighter than 6'2", 33-inch arm, so he has the arm length, borderline, 291 pounds, 9.5-inch hands. What I see him at the next level is a 3-tech, a 3 and a 5-tech, primarily a 3-tech, with pass rush upside. At 291 pounds, I mean, he's like a Lee McNeil, a little bit lighter than a Lee McNeil, and he's going to terrorize. He's going to absolutely terrorize and maul the guards when he's asked to twist and stunt inside. But he ran a 40 and 4.79. 4.79 seconds as a 291-pound defensive lineman. He ran the 10-yard split in 1.68, vertical jump 33 inches, broad jump 9.5. This dude can move. He's all heart. He's all muscle. And at southeastern Louisiana, he did complete all 4 years, so that tells me that he has the experience. And then Tacario Davis. So Tacario Davis, to me, is a player that I believe can transition at the next level to a safety. Don't know if he has any experience yet. I got to dig into that over the weekend. But when I look at a player that has his size, and is already a corner, this dude's a massive human. Massive human. I think it's like 6'3.5", 33 3/8 inch arms. This is a guy that can get his arms up in between at the catch point, knock the balls away. 194 pounds. He is a little bit thin for his height. 9.25-inch hands. He ended up running a 4.4140, which is blazing fast. He probably could get that underneath a 4.41, probably a 4.39 if he runs again at the pro day. 1.59 10-yard split, 37-inch vertical meets my threshold, and a 10'3" broad jump. This dude can fly and he can play. But at that size, I want to see him back there as a safety. Here's his grades in 2025. He finished in run defense grade again. It's one of the primary markers that I look at. 81.8. He finished 82nd out of 892 corners. So top 10 percentile. Pass rush grade, not worried about that. Coverage grade, okay at 65. Overall grade, 67.2, which finished in the top half. Coming from Washington Huskies, it's not like they had an easy schedule. It's not the hardest schedule. Looks like he missed 1, 2, 3, looks like 4, 5. Looks like he missed 5 weeks last year. Not sure why, but most of his grades are green. He had a good game against Michigan, 67.8. He had a good game against Wisconsin, 72.1. He had an average game against Purdue. He had a good game against Rutgers. I think that's Coastal Carolina there. He had a decent game, 67.4. In 2024, Utah Utes were a good team back then. He had a decent game against the Utah Utes. Kansas State, good team back then. He had a decent game there. BYU had a good game there. West Virginia, another good game. I think that's the Buffaloes there, and that would be Deion Sanders' team. He had a decent game. He's another one I'm dipping into this week. In 2024, his grade slipped a little bit, or I guess I should say it the other way. He was on the come up, right? He was on the come up. He was absolutely elite in 2023. Elite. Had a slip and then came back up. The question is, why was he elite? Why did he have the slip? What happened? Well, he played in every game but one in 2023, including the bowl game he played against Oklahoma. I don't know if they won that game or not. But that's great competition. Arizona State, Utah Utes, the Buffaloes, UCLA, Oregon State, USC, Washington. Washington who? I'm not sure what that is. Stanford. I think that's Texas something. Is it Missouri State? I think it's Arizona something or other. I can't see it. It's so small. But solid freshman year, right? Absolutely elite. Junior season, or I'm sorry. I guess it would be his junior season. Had a little bit of a slip. We're in 24, right? All right, 24. I only see one game missed. I got to watch some 24 tape on him and figure out what happened. Then 25, he bounces right back. But he wasn't the same player he was as a true sophomore. Takario Davis, man, you can't replace this kind of size. He's got the speed. He has the arm length. This is a very special player. And I think that he could be like the Eminawari, the Emmanuel McNeil Warren. He's that type of size, that type of athleticism The question is, does he have it from the shoulder up, and can he produce against elite competition? And we're going to find out. Not necessarily known to just be a ball hawk, but look at this. A 50.6 passer rating against. Those are the numbers that matter to me. What year is this? We're in 25, right? Yeah, we're in 25. He only allowed 15 receptions all season, 1 pressure, 2 interceptions, 5 stops in the run game, only 1 missed tackle. Love it. Absolutely love it. No, this is just statistical analysis. This is not game film analysis, obviously. 2024. 85. This is the year that he had to step back, right? 85.8 passer rating allowed. I'll take that all day. Only 3 missed tackles on the season. 27 receptions allowed. 3 pass breakups. No sacks. Not that that matters. No interceptions. All right, how about his elite year in 2023? In 2023, he allowed 23 receptions. He had 12 pass breakups. There's the length, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're looking for. That's where the length starts to shine. If you see it kind of above the spinning logo there, 12 pass breakups. Only 2 missed tackles. The guy does not miss tackles. Loving it. I need the da-da-da-da-da. I got it in here somewhere. I will give him the biggie.
It was all a dream.
Come on to Detroit, man. Make it happen, Brad. I think this guy's going to change. He's going to change the locker room. Appreciate it, cruising. All right, so the next guy I had was Daquan Wright. Don't know anything about him. And then Cole Payton. I think that the Lions are probably going to take a shot at him if they can get him, late, above the 200s. And then Lake McCray is just a tight end. Hell, just bring him in. Daquan Wright is just a tight end. Bring him in. We need tight end depth. If one of them works out, great. If they make a practice squad, great. If they get cut, I don't care. And then the only other guy that I think I missed in this one was Lorenzo Styles. And I absolutely would add Lorenzo Styles anywhere between 200 and 222. Without a doubt. You bring guys like that in. However, I already grabbed one safety, 1 corner. I guess I could have added another safety in that draft. All right, it's 11:57. We're going to do one quick run through. And then I got to fly. Be right back in just a few moments. Okay. What is going on here? Before I get into the mock, I wanted to share. I don't know how many people we have in, but I forgot to show you guys something yesterday. I planned on it, but I didn't. Said I was going to go get it and show everybody what one of the new drawings is going to be. Move a couple things here. Hold on. There we go. That out of here. Get that out of here. Get this out of here. All this stuff out of here. All right. St. Brown. Salute to service. Brand new. These are extremely rare. You're never going to really be able to find them. It's about a $300 jersey. It's all stitched. It's got the vapor. It's all that good stuff, man. Dry fit. This is going to be one of the raffles. And unfortunately, it's not available in a lot of sizes. So I've bought a few of them. But I'm going to do a couple of these. These are the major collector's items, man. Like every year I try to get one. And a lot of times I forget and I don't. But I snagged some of these. Just like the Salute to Service hoodies. I'm going to raffle off one of those because those are extremely rare. The green ones from last year, those are hard to find. But I have a little connection, so I got some. And these are not going to be raffled quick because it's going to take some time to build up the bucket. If I pay $300 for something, you better believe we've got to get about $600 worth of donations before that thing's getting raffled off because I pay, like 30% in tax on all this stuff too. So I'll put it up. It's going to be a long running raffle until we hit our threshold. There's usually a count in the Buy Me a Coffee platform. So I'll have it put up probably today. I hope I have it put up today. That's the goal. And then you guys can start rocking and rolling on that one. And the quicker you share it and get it out to people, the quicker we draw it. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong one. Okay. Let me fix this mock draft real quick and we'll get rolling. Try to make it bigger. And it's been a long week. We did a marathon all week for the most part. Spent a lot of time with you guys trying to talk about this stuff. And, hopefully we're able to have some good conversations. Not everything's perfect. A lot of people don't like what Brad Holmes is doing, but this is the playbook, man. It's the playbook. It's no different than any other year. All right, so we're on the clock at 17. Again, I'm just going to make a few quick trades. I got one offer. Dallas at pick 20. Okay, let's see what they're going to offer here. Pick 20 for 17. Well, I'm taking 92 for sure. Well, what else can I get? I can get 177. Can I get 150? Can I get 112? Let's go 112 for 155. And yeah, well, let's just do that. 112, 90 or 20, 92, 112 for pick 17. Oh, they accepted it. Let's roll. Who did they take? Olavi Vega alone. CJ Allen, Malachi Lemon. I'm not going to make 2 trades back to back because that's unlikely to happen. So we get our choice at edge. We get a key Messidor. I think his arms are a little bit short, but that doesn't mean that he can't work out. We've got the safety that I would love to see in Detroit. We've got Keldrick Falk, who I think is going to be that immediate, 4-3 base edge. You're looking for that hard edge setter. He fits that mold. His pass rush upside is going to take a couple of seasons to develop. He's not someone that's going to come in and just blaze it day one. Cassius Howell, he's a 3-4 outside linebacker. His arms are way too short. I don't care that he wins with speed. That's not a player that I'm expecting is going to be able to win at the next level. It would be an extremely rare athlete like he is to be able to win at the next level, but he's going to have to do it from outside linebacker position. And it's not to say that he won't have success, but his success is going to be coming through blitz packages and not being able to win just one-on-one. When those tackles latch into him, rep is over. Caden Proctor is now all the way back outside round 1. Someone's offering me a trade. Chicago. I would love to take Chicago's picks. 25. I'll take 25 and 57. Let's just see if they would even entertain that. No. I think that they want Emmanuel McNeil Warren, and so do I. But I want to make a trade. I want to move back up. I want to move back up with the Jets at pick 33 and see if I can still get Caden. I'm going to give them 50. We just got 92 in a trade. I give them 50. Here, I'll give them 50. 112. Nah. Yeah, 112, and then next year's round 2. No, I'm not giving you 112. I'll give you 50 in next year's round 2 to move up 20, what is that, 27 spots? 27 spots. If I get Caden Proctor for 2 second-round picks, and I end up with Emmanuel McNeil Warren or Keldrick Falk and Emmanuel and Caden Proctor, I think that's a huge win. I have a feeling Emmanuel Pregnant is probably pretty high on the list, though. You got Caleb Lomu at 38. Where's everybody lining up today? There's Jacob Rodriguez at 45. I'm not extremely sold. I know a lot of people like Rodriguez. I'll talk about him briefly here. So 6'1", 235. The biggest thing is, how does he win? His average depth of tackle's low. I don't really care about that. His ADOT score, I mean, it matters, but the missed tackle rate's pretty high. His coverage grade is good. His run defense grade is great. But can you excuse that for the type of talent that he went up against, right? I mean, look at the schedule. You got USC, you got the Wildcats, you got BYU, Oregon, Oklahoma State, Kentucky. My biggest concern with him is the fact that he's got 30 and 7/8 inch arms. And as a linebacker, it's pretty tough to compete. It's pretty tough to compete with shorter arms. His production's high, but you got to look at the competition. His 40-yard dash is okay at 4.57. His vertical at 38.5 is good. It's great, actually. His broad's solid at 10'1". But my biggest thing is the arm length. How is he going to be able to, compete with running backs? Well, he should be able to. Okay, what about tight ends? How is he going to be able to compete with tight ends with the shorter frame at 6'1" and only 30, sub 31-inch arms? That's if I want a player like that, then I'm taking Cassius Howell. I'm not taking Jacob Rodriguez. If I want a player that size, it's Cassius Howell. And I'm not big on Cassius Howell simply because his requisite size is just not something that excites me. But I've been wrong many times in my life, so we'll see what Brad does. Lions need a safety, man. And something tells me they're going to go deep in defense early. But I'm going to hold firm, and I'm going to hold firm on Takario Davis. I'm going to hold firm on AJ Halsey. I'm going to hold firm on Zaki Wheatley. And I'm just going to take my chances. I like TJ Parker. I think he does a lot of things right. I like Danny Dennis Sutton. I think he does a lot of things right. And I think Keldrick Falk probably has the highest ceiling and the lowest floor coming into this. Where is Malachi? Malachi's at 54. Oh, I got to restart this whole damn thing. Gosh darn it. I got to try to remember the trades that I just did. I didn't do all 7 rounds. I want to fly through it now. What happened to pick 20? Why is pick 20 not on the board? Whatever. Let's just start the draft. There it is. I don't know why it wasn't showing up before. All right, we'll trade with the Steelers. 21. I want 53 or 17. Oh, they don't like that. 76 or 53. That's a great pick still. Man, they got a lot of picks. But I want 159, and I'll give you 180 back. I want to move up a little bit there. There goes Keldrick Falk and Kenyon Sadiq. The fact that Kenyon Sadiq was there at 17, I mean, that's a player I don't know that I would walk away from. And if you're doing BPA all day, that's probably the pick. All right, I also want to move back up. The Giants are trying to trade pick 37. And the Dolphins at 43. All right, at 37. They want my pick 21, though. Let's try to get up to 33 with the Jets like I was doing before. And I'm going to trade you 50? No. Trade you 76. Next year's round 2. No, they don't like it. I'd have to trade 50. All right, how about I go 76 and 118 in next year's round 2? I don't like that either. I'm going to lose too many players. All right, 50 and then next year's round 3. And this year's 155, 159, 204. That's an unlikely play. All right. We got 21, 33, 76, 118. We can do a lot of damage there. We can do a lot of damage. We already lost Keldrick Falk. Where is Danny Dennis Sutton at? Malachi. Lost 50, so I won't get Malachi. Caleb Banks has a broken foot. Man, Cassius Howell's an outside linebacker. He just doesn't have any coverage grade. Zion Young meets the threshold for the arm length. Unfortunately, he did not test at combine, so that kind of leaves me in the dark on does he have the requisite speed. I got to watch more film on him. All right, I'm going to switch up what I did last time. I'm going to take Emmanuel McNeil. Oh, Proctor's gone. But at 27. I haven't seen that one yet. Okay, so I lost Proctor. Max plays primary right tackle. Assuming that the Lions are going to move Sewell to the left. We need that left guard road grader, which could end up being Emmanuel Pregnan. I mean, the dude is stunning, like just incredible. He's got arms for days. 6'5", 318 pounds. I think his arms are like 34 and a half inches. 33 and 5/8. I was close. 11-inch hands. I'm going to take Pregnan. I'm going to box myself in here. Connor Liu is starting to drop. Jake Slaughter's there. Well, then we got the linebacker, Anthony Hill. Okay, let me think through this here. Emmanuel Pregnan, let's say he goes to left guard, Tate Ratledge. Let's say that he stays at right guard. We have a lot of competition at right tackle. We could probably use either another right tackle, or if we grab the center of the future, that would be great. But we still have Cade Mays that they're probably going to trust. We got the big body edge and LT Overton. Caleb Proctor I can get later. Gums is still interesting to me. Not a terrible grade, so. All right. I know what I'm doing here. We're going to go Overton. No, I need to get lucky. Okay, there's Cape Hart. Good pick. Malik Muhammad's a good pick. Bud Clark's a good pick. The Proctor. Oh, Wheatley's gone. 105. Okay, let's pick up a 5th round next year. I don't like this, but it is what it is. Damn, my guy's gone. Where is he? Did I just see him? Nope, he's gone. This draft sucks. There goes Proctor at 128. He went way early. I tried to stay under 141 to get Proctor, and it just blew up in my face. Damn it. Okay. This draft is busted. One move, man. One move screwed it all up. Where did he go? Busted draft. Well, we ended up with a bunch of safeties and corners, I'll tell you that. Emmanuel McNeil Warren. Manuel Pregnan. We got LT Overton. We got Trey Zune. We got a left tackle. We got an edge. We got a guard. We got a safety. We got a corner in Julian Neal. We got the running back in Kalon Black. We ended up getting Takario Davis, another corner that could be a safety. We got Cole Payton. We got another safety. I'm not expecting a lot of 6th and 7th round picks to stick, but some of these guys could be practice squad guys. I mean, it's a terrible grade, terrible draft. Terrible grade, terrible draft. I'll do one more. I'm going to clip all this stuff out anyway. All right, I'm going to run through it. No trades. I'm picking at 17, and I can't trade back. I'm doing no trades. I'm going to take Caden Proctor way early. Pick 50. Probably lost. Oh, Malachi Lawrence is there. Taking Malachi. If we go all the way to 118, this is what the Lions cannot do. They will get nobody. I'd have to make the decision between Malik Muhammad and grabbing a really good corner, or Bud Clark and grabbing a decent safety, or another defensive lineman, because we don't have one. And I think DeMonte Capehart is phenomenal. Key Wheatley's gone, I'm sure. There's really no safeties left in this draft after this. Trey Moore is too much of a tweener. Where did he go? Where'd that corner just go? Julian Neal. I like Neal. I think Neal's going to be a good player. I think our running back room is probably solid. Takario at 196, and I'm at 180. I'm probably going to miss out on Takario. I'll take a flyer on Gums. This is way early on Gums. Caden Curry. He's got really short arms. Yeah, I'm going to take the flyer on Gums. He's a little bit light. Cuevas, I think he's a little bit slow for me, but I could see the Lions taking him. Ooh, Gillenberg. Forgot about him. He's terrible, though. Looked great at the combine, but... All right, we'll go Kazayo. Let's hope Takario Davis is still there. Well, there's Bishop. Yeah, Davis is gone. Red Murdoch. Short arms, big hands. No testing. Too small. All right, there we go. That's the last one of the day. All right, Proctor, Lawrence, Capehart, Neal. Those four players could end up being pretty damn good players, honestly. I definitely believe in Proctor and Malachi and Capehart. Julian Neal's got really good size. He might be able to fly back to safety. Tanner Kazile. We need a tight end. Another safety at Bishop Fitzgerald. He's got really good size. But every time it seems like the Lions bring in a safety or a corner, it's like they're going with a lot of small guys. And I like the bigger, rangier, lengthier guys. But this dude is 201 pounds at 5'11". Bishop Fitzgerald is. the 31.25-inch arms, which is pretty good for his size. I ran a 4.55, so he's a little bit slower, but Brian Branch ran the same. 33-inch vertical could be a lot better. I think he's lacking some functional strength, though. I really do. I keep taking Cole Payton in every draft because why not? But Vincent Anthony Jr. I think you guys will like him if you actually went and watched a little bit of his film. I believe he did perform at the combine pretty well, and he's got massive length, 10-inch hands, 34 and 1/8-inch arms. He ran slow, 4.84, 1.67 on the 10-yard split, which is not terrible. His vertical is a little bit light, but for his size, I mean, what are you expecting? He has a better broad jump than Aiden, so he's got decent burst. But at 6'6", 258 pounds, he's got really good length. I mean, he's someone to kind of keep your eye on. I'll take the B-. But that's it for the day. I've been on long enough, about an hour and a half longer than I wanted to be. I need to fix this while I'm here. So that's it. Appreciate it. It's been a long week of free agency. The Lions are still holding firm. Not a whole lot going on. Maybe we'll hear something over the weekend. Maybe some things will pop next week, but there's still a lot of really, really, really good players available. A lot of those second round or second tier guys that have not been signed yet for whatever reason. So it could just be a contract thing that they're trying to figure out. You just don't know. Maybe some of these players won't get taken until after the draft. We'll see. But the Lions are definitely going to make the right moves. And I think that when you look at, the draft that I just did, Caden Proctor, Malachi Lawrence, DeMonte Capehart, Julian Neal, Tanner Kazile, Bishop Fitzgerald, Cole Payton, Vincent Anthony, not one trade. And I would say that you got 3 players out of that draft, 2 on the defensive line that could play immediately, high rotation. Malachi Lawrence could start. And Caden Proctor could start. DeMonte Capehart, high rotation. Julian Neal as a corner, I think, is going to be a pretty good football player. I got to do a little bit more work on him. And the Tanner Kazile's your third, fourth tight end that could definitely survive on the roster, but I'm not sure what the Lions are doing there. Like, it's just nothing is making any sense with that position right now. We definitely need more than Sam Laporta and Brock Wright, especially if you're going to run any 13 personnel at all. You need 4 tight ends. You need 3 on the field, and you need an extra in case one goes down. Otherwise, you can't run 13 personnel later unless they convert Isaac Tesla to run some of those routes. But then it's not 13 personnel anymore. It's 12 jumbo or it's 12, whatever it is. That'd be 12, not 12 jumbo. But anyway, if they were to end up with that draft and not make one trade, you get 3 impact players and 2 maybes and a backup quarterback and then a corner and Julian Neal that you just don't know what he is yet. So I wouldn't be mad, but I think they can do better. I think they can do a lot better. A couple of trades and things get better in a hurry. But anyway, I hope you all have a great weekend. I'm going to start getting together my draft work. I'm going to start letting it go now that free agency has slowed down. So pay attention to DetroitFootballJournal.com. Make sure you subscribe for free today. Get your 6-month upgrade on me. And we'll see you guys on Monday, if not before. Okay? Adios.
Pressured by Hutchinson.